Manchester United have made a new signing, £50 million for Andrey Santos from Chelsea. Boomba coming from David Ornstein. We're going to get right into it. Is it a good signing? I want to hear from the masses. I want to hear from United fans because I've seen a lot of talk just before Ornstein just came with this Ornstein Boomba, as they call it. Some fans very mixed on sort of basically, how the transfer market's been going for Manchester United. A lot of doubt, a lot of negativity. Only INEOS is to blame for this, of course, because they do seem to be dragging their feet. There seems to be some confusion if we're even signing Ederson at this point. But we do have apparently a new signing at Manchester United, £50 million deal, £50 million deal. David Ornstein has come out and said Manchester United reached an agreement with Chelsea to sign Andrey Santos, deal for the 22-year-old Chelsea midfielder worth £48 million plus £2 million in easily achievable add-ons and a 10% sell-on clause. He has been given permission to undergo a Manchester United medical, and personal terms are in place. So we're going to get into that. We're going to dive deep into this. We're going to have a full discussion. Please make sure you're smashing the like button, everybody. It's good to be back. We were meant to go live in about, 3 hours from now, but might as well go live now since apparently we just signed somebody. Hope everybody's doing well. We're on our way to 3,400 subscribers. So if you're new and you enjoy the content, make sure you are subscribing. All right. But listen, before we get into the full Andrey Santos thing, today I was literally going to go live. I haven't been live in about a week. The World Cup's sort of been intervening. I've sort of checked out a little bit. I'm not going to lie. I've sort of checked out a little bit because United really haven't been doing anything except for missing all of our targets and not really going for anybody and sort of backing out. I would say we started pretty hot with Ederson. And then the World Cup sort of took over, and I think with the fans, I think INEOS checked out as well. I don't know. We're United. I don't know if it's because everybody is focused on the World Cup, so INEOS is sort of just doing nothing in the background because nobody really cares, and it feels kind of businessish to me in terms of there's no point in really doing anything because nobody's really paying attention. So. We'll take care of transfer business when the World Cup is over, when there's more attention back to club football. But, my plan for the show today I was going to go live at 8:30 p.m. UK time, as we usually normally do whenever we can. I was planning to go on a rant because, INEOS seem to be failing. They seem to be failing. They don't seem to be going in the way that we hoped for this summer transfer window so far. We had high hopes. We have high demands, as we should. And I think the concern of the fans is genuine because we finished 15th. We had a terrible time under Ruben Amorim. I think Michael Carrick's come in. He's done a very good job. I think INEOS got a bit lucky with that because I think that decision was not really on their cards and it could have went either way. And it went very positive. We finished third. We got back into Champions League. We had an exceptional run from the appointment of Michael Carrick, which was in January, to the end of the season. And all of us in the United fan base knows the competition that's out there. We know sort of there and abouts of what it's going to take for us to be to have a good season next season, and to be able to compete. And INEOS seem to be going down this path of which I've always said I would like to give them the benefit of the doubt to see what they're trying to put together, but they seem to be going down this cheap-ish route. And I've always said, it's okay to do smart business. I want them to do smart business. I don't want to be blowing the lid off of transfers and spending ridiculous amounts of money for no reason. But at the same time, you can't go ultra cheap. You can't go ultra cheap, and it seems like they're going ultra cheap. It seems like they're going down this path, and that path scares me because I think you go down the ultra cheap path, you don't you don't adapt to the market. You don't adapt to what other teams, basically almost every single team, is doing in the transfer market. And I feel like we will fall massively behind and we will suffer because of it. So we're here now. Let's talk. We'll come back around to that point. But let's talk about Andrey Santos, because we've signed him, apparently. We've reached an agreement, okay? He's not officially confirmed. You know, he's not holding up the shirt today. We're not going to get pictures of him signing the contract. But the deal is agreed. So, you know, he's on his way. He's going to be doing a medical. He will be our player. I was looking at this the last couple of days that this has been talked about. I'm not really happy that we're giving Chelsea money. I don't really like that. I would have kind of, before this deal went through today, right now, at this time, if I went live yesterday, or if I went live the day before, or the day before that, I would have been here saying that I don't really like the aspect of giving Chelsea more money. And I would probably avoid giving Chelsea more money. You know, I don't really like to give teams that we are meant to be competing with for a top 4 spot or top 5 spot. I don't really like to be giving them money. I have no problem with giving the likes of a Bournemouth money or a Fulham or, teams like that we would all say should be below us in the Premier League, and we don't view them as direct competition for one of our spots. I don't really like the fact that we're giving Chelsea 50 million pounds. Now, of course, all the news is coming out that, they're putting up his stats. Andrey Santos ranks 3rd for the most line-breaking passes completed per 90 in the Premier League last season. Ben Jacobs saying more on the Andrey Santos move to Manchester United. Chelsea retain a 10% sell-on. 48 million plus 2 million pounds with add-ons viewed as easily achievable. Manchester United had first inquired on Andrey Santos last summer, as revealed. Appeal is in Santos's versatility. Apparently, one of the big things that Manchester United really like about Andrey Santos is his versatility. Now, that's not really anything new when it comes to INEOS and sort of, what they've been saying that they like in terms of players. That's been probably one of the only things that they've sort of really been consistent on since they've come to this club and taken over, is that they like players that can do multiple different jobs, which is not groundbreaking. It's not anything special. Most teams in today's day of football do not buy one-dimensional players. Players are not coached and trained to be one-dimensional players, and really all the good players are not one-dimensional players. So, but that has been sort of their consistent theme. They do like players that can do definitely more than one job. Andrey Santos can do, a variety of jobs in the central midfield area. He is not just a CDM or just a centre mid. He's kind of a hybrid of both in that sense. Now, the people are reporting, the journalists, I should say, are reporting that, Andrey Santos has been sort of on Manchester United's radar since last summer. So, I don't know. I don't know if this is really spin coming out from the club trying to make it look like that this isn't maybe sort of a panic buy to a certain degree. I'm not really feeling this deal 100%. I'm not, I'm always here to be honest, but I'm not really feeling this deal 100%. Listen, he's a young guy, 22 years old, fits the INEOS age range of that sort of particular, what they usually go after. Go straight into sort of the team. We didn't get a Mateus Fernandes and we didn't get an Elliot Anderson, but we have an Andrey Santos. What else do we have from the journalists that they are reporting? So just to put it into a little bit of perspective as well, Chelsea bought Santos for £10 million. in 2022. He has only played 1,262 minutes since then, and Manchester United have bought him for £50 million. So, unless this guy is coming to us and he makes, a great impact, Chelsea seem to be the winners on this one right now because they've just made a whole profit of £40 million. Plus, if we ever sell him, they do get 10% of that, whatever we sell him on. So, and that's also why I'm kind of not really feeling this deal too much, is because he has gone to Chelsea and he hasn't played a lot. He hasn't played a lot. I can't say if he's such a magnificent player. I guess he's a young guy with promise. But it worries me a little bit that he's gone to Chelsea and isn't really featured too much. Now, I know Chelsea is a bit of a mess. They've been a bit of a mess for quite a while, so it's a bit hard to sort of, look at Chelsea and look at their players and kind of put a thumb on, the gauge of how good a player is. But, yeah, I mean, I'm looking here for reaction because it's quite funny. Like, there was a lot of sort of people coming out with opinions that they wouldn't be very too happy with Andrey Santos. They didn't think he was the right signing. They didn't think it really makes sense. A lot of the opinions was signing Ederson and signing Andrey Santos doesn't make sense when we were looking to sign Ederson plus a Mateus Fernandes or / an Elliot Anderson at once upon a time. And that signing Andrey Santos now, coupled with Ederson, doesn't really make sense at all. And so people weren't very really that happy with that. The aggregators are now putting out the stats. I don't know. It feels very spinios to me. It feels very PR-ish. Andrey Santos averaged 15 line-breaking passes per 100 passes in the 25-26 Premier League season. I'm going to tell you right now, I couldn't give a shit. I really don't care. I don't care about these sorts of stats. The Athletic is putting this out. We have United aggregators reposting this like we're supposed to be impressed about that. I don't know how to feel about this. I really don't. Fabrizio Romano now saying Andrey Santos to Manchester United. Here we go. So if you want your Fabrizio Romano, here we go. Here we go. We have it. It's here. I'm sorry that I'm not excited by this deal. If I'm coming across quite negative, I apologize. It's just that I'm not really happy with the way INEOS has been going about this transfer market so far. And I don't really know how this signing will ultimately play out for us. Now, I will say this. If you want to if you want a positive side for me, I will give this guy every opportunity to impress. I'm not going to hate from him, before he's even actually signed the deal and put on a United kit. I hope this signing works out. I am worried by the direction that the people in charge are taking us. It hasn't really filled me with any sort of confidence. And actually, it's been quite, it's been quite down. It's been quite letting me down, which is why I've sort of checked out a bit, because I thought at the end of last season, giving Michael Carrick the job, I thought we were going to kind of go down one direction, and we've seemed to gone down a different direction. And this direction that they're bringing us down doesn't fill me with confidence in that the plan, I don't feel like it's one that sets us up for having a good season. And I'm quite worried and I'm quite concerned because the fan base, and I'm on par with the fan base, and sometimes I'm really not on par with the majority of the fan base, but I think at this moment I'm quite on par with the majority of the fan base, and the majority of the fan base is basically saying we need to have a strong transfer window, and what INEOS seem to be doing, I think many people would describe as it so far is not a strong transfer window. It's quite underwhelming. And we are quite concerned. for obvious reasons. There is a certain way that we would go about this transfer window to build on top of how we ended last season. And the club doesn't seem to necessarily be going in that direction. They seem to be going in a different direction. Rajad is here. And Mozine is here. Says, hi, what's up, guys? Listen, if you're new, all right, whether you're new or old, doesn't matter. Get involved in the comments. Jump in the chat. Let me know what you think about Andrey Santos. Let me know what you think about this signing. Let me know what you think about how the way this is going currently in terms of the transfer window. Plans for any, what INEOS are doing so far. All right. Lyle is here. Says, hey, Eric and all you Reds. And he is obviously, listen, Lyle's leading the line. Member for 6 months in the RDE VIP section. What's up, bro? How you doing? Member again, by the way. Absolute legend. What do you think? What do you think? Lyle, what do you think about this signing? What do you think about Andrey Santos? What do you think about how the window's going so far? Because I don't feel very excited. I don't right now. And I apologize for all those people that don't like negativity. I don't try to be negative just for the clicks or the views. But I said in the beginning of the show, and I say it again, I was planning to go live in about 2 hours from this time exactly. And the whole show was going to be based on how I don't feel very confident in the way INEOS have been moving since the end of the Premier League season. And now we have to do a signing, but this signing isn't going to change. I'm not gonna pop up here and be all happy-dory and say, oh, guys, we're okay, we're good. All my fears have been, quelled and calmed. I don't know. Listen, Could Andrey Santos have been one that they really actually liked and they really wanted to go for and nobody knew about it? Sure. But it gives me a little bit of taste in my mouth. Okay, pause. But it gives me a little bit of a taste in my mouth that this is a deal that they weren't really looking to do. But if you look at the transfer market and you look at the way the pieces have been falling, and they have not been falling in our favor, they have pivoted to somebody that they were not going to get. If we got Elliot Anderson, we weren't going to get Andrey Santos. If we got Mateus Fernandes, I don't think we would have gotten Andrey Santos. If we went and got Sandro Tonali, we wouldn't have probably gotten Andrey Santos. So this, to me, seems a little bit like a Michael Carrick type of thing. In a certain sense, in that Michael Carrick was never really part of INEOS's plan. They got to a situation where they had to make a decision, and they made a call, and they made it. And, I love Michael, and I really, really hope next season is a good season for him. I don't want to be in this situation where we have taken a step forward and we're going to end up taking 2 steps backwards. And I kind of feel like we are in an area where that is sort of a big possibility right now. I would say 50% chance because of the way things have been going. But Andrey Santos seems a little bit similar to that, in that he didn't seem like he was really part of their plan, part of their idea. But he's come into the fray because things have transpired, and it seems like they're sort of just taking a shot. And I've seen a lot of people call them chancers. When it's come to INEOS, they're chancers. And I've sort of not really been in that mindset for a little bit of time. But the more we go down this path with them, the more that it seems like they are chancers, because they're taking a lot of chances on things that really seem to be part of United's plan. But they're gambling on things. They've been gambling on things. They gambled on Ten Hag. They gambled on Ruben Amorim. They gambled on Michael Carrick. Now, Ten Hag didn't go well for them. Ruben Amorim didn't go well for them. Carrick has gone well for them so far, but there's still more of the story to be told and written And while it's gone good so far, it could end horribly. And a lot of that's still on them because they're the ones getting in players. Lyle says Andrey is still a raw talent in Santos, but he is Vivel's signing at Chelsea, and I trust Vivel. Well, I have seen that people have. There's been a little bit of reports that Vivel is the one that sort of has been pushing this. And as anybody that's been here to the channel, and me and Lyle are have been in agreement on this for a while. I do think Christopher Vivel is probably the best footballing guy we've got. It would make me feel a little bit more, or it does make me feel a little bit more confident if Vivel is the one sort of spearheading the signings, because he does have a very good track record in talent ID throughout his time. Not with our football club, but in general, in just terms in football and the positions he's held. He does have a good track record with talent ID, which is why I think he's the best footballing guy that we've got. I do hold him above Jason Wilcox. If you look at sort of the players that Jason Wilcox has gone after at his other clubs that he worked at before Manchester United, you look at Vivel's talent ID is way better. The players that he found and got in, and the amount of money they signed him for, and then what they've gone on to become after that, way higher success rate, way better players in Vivel's camp. Now, I am a little bit, I get a little bit put off by that because, please excuse me, but I've been a little bit out of it. So for those of you that have been paying attention and haven't sort of checked out like me for a while with the whole World Cup thing going on, can somebody please, if anybody knows, please tell me, is this Vivel sort of driven Andrey Santos thing, this is coming out now because we've signed him, or this has been sort of being reported in the past week or two or whatever it's been since he's been actually really linked to us, that it has been spearheaded by Vivel? Because the thing is, I think, listen, United are not dumb, especially when it comes to social media and when it comes to sort of, fan reaction and stuff like that. And I think once upon a time, when news was coming out that Vivel would like this player, I think it was quite genuine. I do have a little bit of mistrust with the club in that at some point they will catch on that people really like Vivel and they really rate Vivel, and they seem to rate Vivel more than they rate Wilcox and more than they rate Omar Barada and whoever else is at that football club. And so I wouldn't put it past the club when we do sort of signings, if they were to push a bit of PR spin to the public saying, oh yeah, Vivel backed this guy. Vivel was the one that went after this, so that the fans sort of relax and rejoice about it. But meanwhile, maybe it isn't really Vivel. Lyles, it's still early days in the window, although we need some more movement. I do agree to that point. And listen, it's not all done and dusted, and it's not all, the world is over and the transfer window is closed. You are right about that, Lyle. It is still sort of early days. It's not that early days because, preseason will be starting soon. But the way the reports have been going, and the way sort of the targets that we have been linked to, and the way that they have been, ending up, I haven't been as focused as I usually am, but I can tell you from what I've seen, the targets that we've been linked to and that we have missed out or not gone for, it's all been sort of the same story, in that United are not adapting to the market. United are holding firm on their stance that they will not sort of overpay. We've sort of been there before. I don't really agree with that 100%. Again, I want the football club to be spending money smartly. I don't want to be spending stupid money like we did in the past. I liked what INEOS was doing in the prior windows in terms of when it came to transfer fees, and even the wages that we were paying, even the profile of player. I do like the players that we got. I do like Delit, even though, you know, he's had some sort of an injury problem, but his talent and his attitude, I really like that. Mateusz Cunha, Embuemo, Sesko, you know, even Patrick Dorgu, and, you know, a lot of the others. I do like sort of the type of player that we've been getting and going after. But I don't agree with this decision by the club that they seem to not be adapting to the transfer market while other teams are adapting. Now, I think that is a massive gamble. It is a massive gamble because if you choose not to adapt to the market, and some will argue, and I think it's a fair argument to make, that the market has gone a little bit crazy and the players' prices are inflated and, you know, it's getting out of hand and whatnot. And I don't think that that's a totally, you know, asinine thing to say. I think that there is valid points to be made there. But at the same time, there's you are there in a decision to make. You can say, well, the market has gone a bit crazy, so we're going to stay away from all that. And we're going to end up with a certain amount of talent and a certain amount of, you know, quality, and go down this route and hope for the best. Or, you know, it's not really ideal for us. It hasn't, you know, this wasn't really what we planned, but the market is going this way and everybody is sort of still doing deals and paying the money and forking out the money. And if that's the case, we're either going to stay in competition with our competition and duke it out, or we're sort of gonna just, you know, stay in sort of our little bubble, as I sort of see it. And that, I don't know, it scares me a little bit because I think there's repercussions to not adapting with the market and saying, you know what, the prices have gone a little bit higher, but the talent is still there. And, you know, we'll have to pay a little bit more, but we are getting a certain level of quality. I think that there is sort of a truth in there, that there is a reason why certain players, their prices have gone quite high, or higher than maybe they were expected to. And I think that, like, you know, there can be an argument to be made to go for that player. I think the Mateus Fernandes one was a little bit crazy, all right? Because I don't think I wouldn't have paid 80 million for him. I think that one is a bit crazy. But somebody like a Tonali, or, you know, maybe a Tchouaméni or something like that. Players that are experienced and have, like, sort of proved themselves, or in that middle ground that are 25, 26-year-olds, even maybe somebody like an Alex Scott or something like that, who I think they showed that you're not taking a massive risk of the unknown on them. I think those guys, okay, their prices may have gone up by 10, 20, 30 million, but I think you should be going for them. I think we should be paying the money for those players. I don't think we should just be walking away from every single deal that's out there. So, now the Athletic, let me just get back to some of the reporting, because there's a lot of reporting coming out. So Manchester United still hope to sign 2 more midfielders this summer alongside the expected arrival of Atalanta's Ederson. So that's a bit interesting, because this just came out 15 minutes ago, and this is from The Athletic. And I'm reading this correctly. Still hope to sign 2 more midfielders this summer alongside the expected arrival of Atalanta's Ederson. So if I'm understanding this and reading this correctly, I don't think they're counting Andrey Santos in this, in terms of, or they are counting Andrey Santos in this, and saying that Ederson is still coming, because there's been a little bit of a bit of a conspiracy going around in the United fan base on social media, saying that we were signing Andrey Santos because it seems like we're not going to sign Ederson, and he didn't pass a medical or something like that, and I don't think that that's happening. But I think they're reiterating that they still want to sign a total of 3. Ederson is 1. Andrey Santos will be 2, and then there will be a third signing. So I don't think that they're saying we're getting Ederson, Andrey Santos, and then 2 more midfielders. Although maybe we will. I feel like 4 is a lot. I think we were all saying we need 3, and I think we were saying 3 is a bit. We feel like it's a lot, but it's definitely needed. But we do have to remember Ugarte is out for the whole till February or past February, so he's not really an option. So we've lost out of that. But the 3 midfielder signings was always to replace Ugarte anyway. So I don't think we should be. I don't think there's a reason for 4. So I'm gonna take it as they're talking about Ederson plus 2, which seems to be Ederson, Santos, and then plus 1 more. We just got more news. This is a little bit separate, shifting gears real quick, but just to bring it into the show. Breaking news, Marseille are set to finalize the transfer of Mason Greenwood to Fenerbahce for 40 million euros, plus bonuses. Fenerbahce have held separate discussions with United, who will receive 40% from the transfer fee. So 40% will get about, I don't know, like 18 million from that, which, whatever, good enough. Now, this is coming also from The Athletic, switching back to Andrey Santos. Lyle has posted, join our Discord, peeps. Yes, we have a Discord. If you want, jump in there. Very good stuff going on in there. The ones that are in there are our subscribers and our loyal fans. Loyal loyal community members. I don't know why I said fans. Our loyal community members. These guys love it. They're always in there chatting away. So if you want to get involved in an active community, join the Discord. Hit that link that Lyle put in the chat. Niche fan is saying, "Oh my God, this is a nightmare." Ederson and effing Santos. Well, yeah, I think that's how most people feel. Thank you to everybody that has subscribed, by the way. Just seeing that we hit 3,400, so thank you if you're new. Welcome. And don't be shy. Get involved in the chat. Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't know how to feel about this. I do really. I'm always honest when I come here. I don't come here. I don't plan before the show on angles to hit on to get views and reaction and stuff like that. I'm always just genuine. I can't help but shake the feeling today, and for the past few weeks, I have been feeling sort of just very disillusioned with the direction that this market, or the way that INEOS is taking us in this market. I don't feel very positive at the moment in time. So, right now I can't really shake that feeling. I don't know what I'm supposed to do about it. But yeah, I don't feel very up. I feel sort of very down. I feel a bit anxious, in a bad way, about it. So we're shopping in the bargain bin while Arsenal went Bruno G for 60 million. Well, I did see that, but and that's another thing. I mean, Bruno G was linked to us first, and he was linked to us in May, and they said that only one was supposed to leave from Newcastle, and that they said that it was going to be Tonali. And then they spun it that United were very interested in Tonali, and they made it look like at once upon a time that we were going to put in a bid for Tonali and actually go and get Tonali. Tonali's at Spurs, and so is Mateus Fernandes. And I think that's probably the thing that's been bothering me the most. 15th place Spurs is splashing out ridiculous amounts of money, and they signed 2 of our supposed targets. And instead of us having basically the 2 players that they signed were supposed to be, or maybe could have been our players, we have Ederson, and now we have Andrey Santos. And the Athletic are saying here, Andrey Santos wouldn't represent the marquee signing that many Manchester United supporters have demanded as part of the rebuild. Well, you have that part right. But United still hope to sign 2 more midfielders this summer, alongside the expected arrival of Ederson, and adding a player of Santos' profile and potential would leave room for further reinforcement. Again, I would like a little bit of clarification on this, because are they saying that we're going to sign another 2 midfielders? Is Andrey Santos just an extra midfielder now? Are we signing 4 midfielders? Because that wasn't part of the plan either, but now we're spending extra cash. Which, listen, I mean, let's just have a little bit of a hypothetical, okay? If we end up signing 4 midfielders, I mean, it depends on who the other 2 would be, in addition to Ederson and Andrey Santos. But if they're quality and we have a lot of depth, okay, maybe, INEOS. Maybe. Because we do need depth. We need quality and depth. I think 4 is a bit overkill for what we need. I think we all pretty much agreed for a while now that 3 would be good, plus Kobe Mainu, and I think that's the depth is fine there. But I think it would still yet to be seen, because then what it would appear to me, sort of like what Nish was saying in a certain aspect here, is that, you know, we're shopping in the bargain bin. What I would say is that their approach would then seem to be like, instead of spending a lot of money on one player, they're going to spend less money, but bring in more players. At least that's what it would appear to be, or look like. And then I guess it brings this argument of quantity over quality, quality over quantity. You would obviously need a nice mix and a balance to that. But, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would have to see how it comes out and what it transpires to, because I think I don't know if that would necessarily fill me with such confidence. But hey, maybe they prove us wrong in the end. Maybe they put together something that works, or maybe they get lucky and somehow it works. If I pronounce your name wrong, I apologize, but I try my best. Ebenezer Emmanuel 394 says this club is a joke. Nish is saying Carrick sacked by Christmas, and they've asked Carrick to build the Taj Mahal and give him breeze blocks and plasterboard. This is exactly why they wanted Carrick, so they can cheap out completely. Two more Agartes. We are glorified Brighton. That's the reality. Well, I do think that what I will say is I do think that they seem to be going down this path of probably like a Brighton, to a certain degree, Niche. I don't think there seems to be sort of a mix, which I think they could have done, and I think you could have executed, where we do make signings like a Brighton, because I don't necessarily have a problem with that. I think that would be good business in a certain sense. But they can't. We can't do all our transfer business and be like Brighton, because we're not Brighton. We're Manchester United, and Brighton are not a top 4 club. They're not in the Champions League. They're not as big as us in terms of stature and history. And so in that case, you would want to make some signings like Brighton do, because it's smart financially and it would help the club. And in the long run, you would say, well, if we sign players for the cheap in certain areas and we grow them and build them up and turn them into better players, one, we can sign them and we can sell them at some point and maybe make profit, which would help us eventually. But you do need to make some sort of, in some sense, you need to make some level, high quality level signings as well. There needs to be some sort of mix. The thing is, at this moment in time, there's not really a mix. I mean, if you look at Ederson and you look at Andrey Santos, again, he's raw, he's unproven, he's 22, he wouldn't be considered a marquee signing. He's not on the level of what I would say Sandro Tonali or Tchouaméni, even Elliot Anderson, okay? to that extent. And even Ederson. I mean, Ederson, I was saying, many people didn't like Ederson signing. They think he's crap. I've been saying I don't think he's crap. I think he's a useful player to have in the squad. But again, useful player in the squad and having a very green Andrey Santos is not fulfilling the other half of we need a high level quality. That's going to basically step into the starting lineup, make an instant impact, and really be the heartbeat of the team. Which we've lost Casemiro, who is a winner, who is a warrior, who is just a mentality monster, and also high quality on the pitch through experience and talent. We've lost that guy. We're not. These two guys are not replacements for him. They are not reaching that level. They are not going to get that job done. There is still a massive gap there that he has left. And unless they address that, then it's in my opinion, it'll be a total failure. And they'll set up Carrick to probably fail. Because this angle of, like Nish is saying, this is why they wanted Carrick, so they can cheap out completely. Maybe so, but that will backfire on them, because if you cheap out, we will probably most likely have a shit season. And if we have a shit season, that means Carrick is suffering, the team is suffering, and Carrick will lose his job. And so I don't really know how that necessarily works for them. I don't know how that works for INEOS, because if it comes to that point, it's just bad on them. Once again, I mean, it'll be another failure of a manager, okay? It'll be another aspect of we took one step forward, we took two steps back. They're not getting any points. And it buys into the narrative that they seem to be doing things to string the fans along to get their new stadium built. And that's really all that matters, because that new stadium will bring them a shit ton of money. And how you do that, half-ass things and do sort of a average, mediocre / job, just good enough to get us sort of by, where we don't do horrible, but we're not going to push on to do great things, and just bide your time the whole way and string people along. Ebenezer says, I think INEOS are not going in the right way for you to compete at the highest level. You need quality over quantity. This club is a joke. This is a downgrade. And I think many people feel that way, Ebenezer. I kind of feel that way as well. I always say, I think you need a nice balance. You need a nice mix. I think if you go for strictly quality, but you don't have the quantity, I think that might be a problem. But I think if you go for quantity and you sort of ignore the quality aspect, I think that will also be a problem. I think always a nice mixture, a nice balance, a bit of a yin and yang. All right. I think I think INEOS's job, I think people in charge of football clubs, my mindset, if I was in charge of United, it would be to try and find the best balance possible, because I think that sets up the team for the best way possible. But I do feel that way. I don't feel like INEOS are necessarily going in the right way for us to compete at the highest level. I think you put it properly right now. Now, we are in July 8th. The transfer window does close August 31st or September 1st. So things can change. They still have the ability to make things happen if they so choose to do so. And if they can execute properly, could happen. There's still time. But I don't really feel confident in them right now. I don't really feel confident in the direction we're going in. Ederson deal. Is Ederson deal off, bro? Not according to reports, no. So, Info Hub. No. Santos is a good signing, says InfoHub. Well, I'm not going to say that he's necessarily a bad signing, but I will say that, again, there's a certain level that we need to hit. And right now, Ederson and Andrey Santos are not really necessarily filling those requirements because, again, we at the very least, we need to replace Casemiro with some sort of a high level quality of player. And Andrey Santos is not going to fill Casemiro's boots, not next season. And Ederson is not going to fill Casemiro's boots. We do need some sort of a marquee signing. I mean, if you're going to make signings like Ederson and Andrey Santos, you need to make at least one marquee signing. I think that would make a balance of some sort. We also have Kobe Mainoo, who's a young player, young guy, 21. So I do feel like we still do need a signing of a player that's 24, 25, has been playing a lot of first-team football, who's regarded as high quality, who's been doing it at sort of a high level, playing in, high-level competitions, Champions Leagues, or, La Liga at a high team, or Premier League. We do need that sort of player to come into this midfield, and to this team. I bet Chelsea gets Scott. Well, yeah, I mean, I could see that happening. I mean, one, we're giving Chelsea money. We're giving Chelsea money. I don't like that aspect. I said that in the beginning. I don't have a problem with giving money to West Hams or Fulhams or Bournemouths, and teams like that. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with poaching players from the Premier League, but I don't really like the aspect of giving money to Chelsea or to Arsenal, or, I mean, we would never do a deal with Liverpool. That's almost basically completely out of the question. Manchester City, I don't like giving money to teams that we are in direct competition with, because what it seems to be, what seems to happen in United is that we buy one of their sort of players that they don't want, which many people will call rejects, of a Chelsea reject or, an Arsenal reject or whatever. But mainly, usually we do deals with Chelsea for whatever reason. And we give them that money, and then they go and take that money plus the money they already have, and they go sign the player that we would have preferred to sign in the first place. And I tell you right now, I'm not saying like Andrey Santos is a bad player, and I'm not saying like, I hate this guy and I'm going to boo him before he even comes into the team. But what I will say is that I would have definitely preferred to go and get Alex Scott than sign Andrey Santos. And if we sign Andrey Santos, we have signed Andrey Santos, but we're signing Andrey Santos, and Chelsea then go and take that money and sign Alex Scott, it's going to look very bad. And it's going to feel very bad. It's going to feel very bad. Jim doesn't want to win, simply wants to make money. The stadium is all he cares about. Well, it does seem to be heading in that way. Every time you try and say, you kind of hope that that's not the case, because if that's the case, that's a very bad case for us, Niche. And when I hope, I don't hope for Jim's sake. I hope for our sake. I hope for our club's sake. But every time you try and look at it in a different light and say, well, maybe they're doing things in a sort of different way, and maybe their way can sort of work out. They do things, and then it sort of just opens up the conversation back to, well, it just appears that it seems to be all about this new stadium, which the stadium equals money. Lumen says, let's appreciate what we're getting. I mean, listen, but it's not cut and dry like that. I mean, we can't, there's a reason why people aren't, I guess, so appreciative, because we're not really rating the level. We're not really rating the quality of it. And the reason for that is we see that, and I think every United fan probably does what I do. I think we all do it, in that we look at who we're going after, or we look at who we're getting or who we got, and we start doing this mental thing of we're putting up lineups in our head, and we're We're putting the team together in our head, and we're just looking at it, and we're just like, 2 plus 2 is not equaling 4 here. They're trying to make it. It seems like they're trying to do 2 plus 1 equals 4 when it doesn't, and we're just like, it's not adding up. And it doesn't seem like it's a very good plan. So it's hard to be appreciative of something that you don't feel is a good idea, is a good plan, is something that's going to work. Now things can change. I mean, like, later on, the season starts, and maybe it goes in a way that we don't really feel at this current moment in time that maybe it goes well. We feel like, many of us feel like it's not going to go well. Maybe that changes later on. But right now, as it is on paper, because that's all we have, United fans, most United fans, are not going to sit there like a seal and just be like, yay, INEOS made a signing. Yay, yay, let's be happy. Everybody clap your hands and let's be happy because we signed a player. Who the player is, what kind of level they are, that matters. Ebenezer says, if INEOS doesn't get it right this summer, this club will have to suffer again. Santos needs room for development. This is not the kind of signing we need. This club are joking with the fan base. To a certain degree, I think I agree. To a certain degree, Ebenezer, I will say I think you are on the money there. But I will just leave room for. It depends what the other signings are that come after this signing. If the signings after Andrey Santos continue to be underwhelming and not at the level that we believe that we need and that we know that we need, then I think that statement is 110% true. If the signings after this signing fit the demands and the level that we expect and we are demanding from them, then I think this Andrey Santos kind of signing changes face a little bit, and it's not all doom and gloom, and it's not all bad. And then you will say, well, you know what? It's a young guy with a little bit more development. It's not exactly what we need, per se, for the immediate now, but it could be a good signing for a little bit later on, which isn't necessarily a bad thing to do or have, right? Ebenezer also says, in the recent years, we have not had a good deal with Chelsea over the years, and that you are 100% right. Kalan says, hello again, nice to be here. What's up, bro? Kumaran, I'm just going to call you Kumara. Kumara says, Chelsea hoard good players. He's 22. And the mere fact that there's a sell-on clause says that United know his value will increase. Well, I will say that, listen, valid point. Chelsea do hoard a lot of players. It is a bit difficult because Chelsea are a bit of a mess and they're a disaster and they have 1 million players. So it's a bit hard to, I would say, somebody like him, it's a bit hard to dictate just necessarily how good he is because they have a ton of players. And you could be a good player and not play at that football club. And he hasn't played a lot. Now, I don't really like the aspect that he hasn't played a lot. They signed him for 10 million and we're buying him for 50. Where they are getting a profit for 40 million from, based off of what? I guess it would just be pure potential. But how they're making a 40 million profit on just pure potential? He's only played 1,790 something minutes or something like that at Chelsea, which is not a lot. If we do the math and we pull out the calculator, because I am not one of those people that does math in the head like that. So I don't know. Let's just say, what was it, 1,789 or something like that, or 1,987 divided by 90 minutes. He's played about 20 matches. he's played about 20 total matches of football for Chelsea, give or take a little bit here and there. So, I don't know. Though I'm not keen on Santos, I think we should all keep calm. The big names generally haven't worked out in the past decade. I understand that, but at the same time, that doesn't mean that the problem that I have with that is that we can't shy away from big names. I don't think we have to go crazy with big names, but just because big names haven't worked out in the past doesn't mean that we have to now sit in today's time in the transfer market in 2026 and avoid all the big names. There are big names out there that would fit our football club, that would be good signings, that would fit our team. It is INEOS' responsibility to get those players and sift through the big names and all the signings and get one of them in. They're a big name for a reason. They have talent. They have proved themselves. And I refuse to accept that every big name out there would be a bad signing for United. There cannot be the probability of that. There has to be at least one that we would sign and they would be good for us. That's their job. I mean, that's Vivel and that's their job. They're supposed to be the football experts. They're supposed to be the ones that be like, he's a big name. It cost 80 to 100 million, but this guy will fit our team and this Michael Carrick football that we're going to play. He will fit the Premier League, and paying this amount of money will be worth it. Like Arsenal paid 100 million for Declan Rice. He has been worth every single penny. We could have made that signing. We didn't. So there are players out there. So we can't, again, a balance would be nice, I think, to strike. And right now, the balance is very heavily tilted to cheap, not super high quality players in Ederson and Andrey Santos. Andrey Santos is young guy, 22, but he's not a guy that I expect to go in and he's going to just take over the whole midfield and take control of that thing and lead basically the entire Manchester United team. Listen, the midfield is very important. It's the engine room of the team. It's the part of the spine. It's a big job. I don't think his signing is somebody he's going to come and take that by the horns and take it over. He's not that guy. Now, he could still be a good signing and still become a good player for us, and we could later look on and say Andrey Santos was a good signing, but he is not in the level of these other players. Obviously, Carrick sees something he likes. I think Santos overpriced, though. Chelsea again. Hackney went to Everton for 24 million. Well, hold on. Okay, let's get to a little bit more news. So we did get the official, here we go, from Fabrizio Romano. Obviously, Ornstein was the one that broke the news, so the Ornstein Bumba. Andrey Santos is signing a 5-year contract and will have his medical in the next 24 hours. And while I'm sifting through the news, just to everybody that has smashed the like button, thank you very much. Greatly appreciate it. To everybody that's subscribed and that's new, thank you very much. Welcome to the family. Welcome to the community. We do have a Discord. Discord is in the link in the pinned message if you want to join. All right. But let me go through some of the more news. I'll give you guys up to date. I don't know. Somebody's saying this. I don't know. What do you guys think of this opinion? Okay, this is a bit of a reaction I'm seeing on the socials right now. They've had this to say: people justifying Santos being good because he's a bench player to Enzo and Caicedo need to realize that that's literally the standard of midfield we should have as well. If someone had said Santos and Ederson in May, they'd have been laughed off of this app. I think that's a valid point. I think if we were in May and they were saying we're signing Santos and Ederson instead of Tonali and Anderson, and Mateus Fernandez, I think the fan base would be going mad. And I think if the reports weren't that, and I think it was a United fan, and a United fan was literally going around saying we should sign Andrey Santos and we should sign Ederson, they would get absolute pelters for it. And I think this is a bit of a problem, like, in terms of this football club from time and time again seem to always constantly, they have the recipe to grind down a lot of our fans. They grind us down to the point where we just go, fuck it, it's better than nothing. Fuck it, it's better than just sitting around and not signing anybody. But we had, the quality was there. The level, we were excited by the level of quality that we were looking at. And so far, two out of whatever 3 or 4 signings is not that level of quality. And we are quite concerned. I think rightfully so. And we do need the level of midfield in Enzo and Caicedo at Chelsea. That is the level of midfield that we need. That is the level of midfield that we kind of needed to go get after what we just did. And going back into Champions League and having a manager like Michael Carrick, who, again, he might know the United way. He might be a good manager, a good coach, whatever you want to call him. But he is going to need help. And it does feel a little bit of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to me. Because I remember under the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer thing, I was saying, if you're going to have a manager like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, you then need to go and supply him with a high level quality of players. You got to help that guy. And I kind of feel the same with Michael. Like, if you're going to have somebody like Michael, okay, who's not like, let's say, an Ancelotti to a certain degree, or these experienced managers that can maybe, use tactics and stuff like that to get the best out of all the players and the team, and make maybe let's just say an average team perform above average. And Carrick could still do that, but I think it's harder for him because of his level of experience. I think to help somebody like Carrick, you need to go and get better players. To give him a hand, to give him a fighting chance. Because I feel like if you give him average, and he's going to make many mistakes and he's not experienced, I feel like that's kind of a recipe for disaster. And we've sort of been there a little bit before. So a Chelsea fan has said that Santos to United for £50 million is a better deal than Mateus Fernandez for £85 million. What do you guys think about that? Because I think that's an interesting sort of way to look at it as well. I think that's a bit of, what do you think? Do you think, chat and United fans, what do you think about that angle? Because I wanted Mateus Fernandez. I like Mateus Fernandez. I'm disappointed we didn't get Mateus Fernandez. But I think at one point I was like, this Mateus Fernandez thing has gone completely crazy, because when we were first linked to him, I was saying 45 million. We thought the high was 60. And I said we could probably do well to get him for 50 to 55 million. And I would have been happy. It ended up going all the way up to 85 million. And when I seen that the 85 million was sticking and that the 85 million was not budging, I did get very put off by that. I still think he's a good player, and I still would have liked to sign him. But I was not, I was like, I feel like if we sign him for 85 million, I don't know if that's a very good deal. Well, we've ended up in a spot where we have not signed Mateus Fernandez for 85 million, but we've signed Andrey Santos for 50 million. So we've saved about 35 million. What do you think the difference in quality is between Andrey Santos for 50 million and Mateus Fernandez for 85 million? Do you think that Mateus Fernandez is a better player than Andrey Santos, and that extra 35 million would have been worth it? Like, because we've spent 50 million pounds on Santos. So whatever level you think he is, do you think that we've just wasted 50 million because we could have just spent an extra 35 million, which would have been justified to sign Mateus Fernandez because he's that much better? Santos is a good player, but is he best in class? No, Sadiq. No, he's not. There's not a single, and I'll tell you right now, there's not a single person out there that's saying that he's best in class. Maybe, some Chelsea fans that are taking the piss out of us or something like that, or maybe they genuinely believe that. But there's not a single person. I shouldn't say there's not a single. There's always that one guy. But the United fan base, 99.9% of the United fan base, whether people like him or not, whether they think he's good or not, there's not a single person in the United fan base, except for that one guy, that's going to say that Santos is best in class. He's not best in class. So, but that's not really the conversation, that we're really having. We all know he's not best in class. That's definitely not it. But is it a good signing? Will it be good? Will it be good enough? We've paid 50 million for a player. I think the best way to put into perspective again, we had a chance to sign Mateus Fernandez for 85 million. We didn't. We've now signed Andrey Santos, who is, again, they're around the same age. They played the same position. We've signed him for 50. We've signed a player for 50 instead of for 85 million. Have we actually done some type of a decently good business? Or is Mateus Fernandez that much better of a player that we've cheaped out and we've signed the shittier, cheaper option? And we're now probably going to suffer because we could have used Mateus Fernandez's quality. Where is the best in class, Sir Jim? No Tonali, Fernandez, Anderson, Tuchemani, Scott. Ebenezer says the signings is showing the level of their support towards Carrick. Mark my words, United will have to deal with many issues this upcoming season. Will kick off in less than 4 weeks. Ronaldo, Manuel Rodriguez Brizzi, said, what happened to Anderson? I think you mean Ederson. Nothing happened to Ederson. I believe. I don't know. Actually, it's a fair point because, did he get injured? He might have gotten injured though. As far as we know, Ederson is still coming. Is still supposed to be a signing. He's not. It hasn't been announced. I can check for you in a couple minutes, but he might have gotten injured at the last game of Brazil, so maybe they're waiting for him to be fit to do the medical, which is why there just seems to be a pause. There is a little bit of a rumor / conspiracy that we're not signing Ederson, and that's why we've gone and signed Andrey Santos, and Andrey Santos will be the signing, and Ederson is no longer coming. That doesn't seem to be true as it is right now, but we will do our best to sort that out. Sadiq says we need to spend the money as that is the current value in the transfer market. And I do agree with that. I do agree with that sentiment because I think what United haven't been able to prove so far is and INEOS specifically, is they haven't really been able to prove that they can do a balance of things. And they right now they're giving me vibes that they seem to go one way or the other. They don't seem to be able to strike a balance in that We spend a good amount of money on at least one player, one marquee signing, and then the others balance it out. They don't seem to be doing that. And the way the stories have been going, okay, we're looking at all the top talent targets that cost the most money, and United's been like, yeah, we really want Elliot Anderson, too much money though. Oh, we really want Tonali, too much money though. We want Fernandez, too much money though. And we've sort of just backed away from everything because we're like, yeah, the market is inflated and we're not going to sign any of these players because all the prices are inflated. And we're just basically going to run away from all these deals. And we're going to go sign other players who quite clearly are not on the same level. But they do fit the price range in what Manchester United or what INEOS like to tend to pay, which is around 50 to 60 million. 70 seems to be sort of the ceiling. But in this current transfer market, 70 is not enough. If you want a Tuchemeni or a Tonali or, or whoever else you may want to insert. Sadiq says Fernandez is far better than Fernandez. Although Fernandez is not worth 85, not yet worth 85 million, Kalan is saying, he surely will be. As for Santos, Chelsea rips United off again. I just hope it's not 50 million up front. Nah, I mean, it would never be 50 million up front. If it was 50 million up front, I don't know. If it was 50 million up front, I would say they have incriminating blackmail on Sir Jim Ratcliffe or something like that. But it would never be 50 million up front, and it's not. It's not. I mean, I don't even think we can. I don't even think we could actually afford to do 50 million up front. With the way the finances have been over the past few years, so it's definitely not. It definitely shouldn't be 50 million up front. I mean, we'll see. On your point on though, he's not worth 85 million. He surely will be. I mean, we'll see how that goes for them over there at Spurs, and we'll see, I guess, how it goes for us with Andrey Santos now. I think Santos' deal is payback for the so-called Alejandro Garnacho deal. Yeah, but listen, I don't really buy in to that sort of narrative because it's not like they forced us upon. It's not like they've tied us down and made us sign Andrey Santos. We wanted them. We wanted him. We went for him. We were interested for him. And we agreed to the price. So I don't really think that, I don't think Chelsea's like, this is payback in terms of, we're going to get you back for selling us Alejandro Garnacho. Because I know this story plays out in the fan base because it's fun and online and it's banter and whatever. But football clubs don't operate like that. And the football people live in their own little bubble and they don't look at things the way we look at things. So, yeah, okay, they signed Garnacho and it was a very bad deal and we all laugh at them because we're like, haha, we ripped you off and shit. But I guarantee you Chelsea are not like, how do we push a player to United so we can rip them back off? We clearly wanted him, and we were clearly okay with paying this money. Jason Wilcox, Omar Barada, Vivel, and all the others involved, they have looked at Andrey Santos, they've looked at his talent, and they've negotiated with Chelsea, and they've all come to the conclusion that £50 million for his quality is what he's worth, what they were willing to pay. So they're the ones making this decision. This, to me, has nothing to do with Chelsea. Has nothing to do with Chelsea. All Chelsea done is set a price for their player. We had the responsibility of, we could have done what we've done with every other player that we haven't not signed, where they've said, Tonali is too expensive, not worth it. Fernandez has become too expensive, not worth it. Not worth it. The price is not worth the talent. But they've looked at this player and said that price is worth his current ability plus potential. So I think the easy way out is to say Chelsea's getting revenge on us and Chelsea are ripping us off. I don't even go down that, but Chelsea's not doing anything to us. If this deal, if this player flops and is shit, and we look back and we say we got ripped off, we have nobody but ourselves to blame. We're the ones that agreed to the price. We're the ones that evaluated the player, and we're the ones that went in for him, and ultimately we're the ones that signed him. So, Chelsea is not ripping us off. We're just idiots. You can't, if it ends up being bad, Santos, £35 million maximum. Fernandes and Tonali have chosen a cursed club for money. I should clarify my earlier statement. 50 million in installments is still 50 million, but add-ons is different. Well, the add-ons is 2 million. And apparently it's easily achievable. So, signing Tonali is a good signing if United has struck the deal. I agree. I would have been happy with that, and that would have given me a lot more confidence and a lot more faith. I really rated Tonali. I really liked Tonali. And for those, I forgot who it was. I believe it was Niche, but I'm sure there's other people out there. But there was an update that's saying that Chelsea are expected to sign Manchester United linked Alex Scott as a possible replacement for Andrey Santos. Well, there you have it. And that if that does happen, that makes this signing look much more worse. And there's sort of a huge mountain to climb now to justify this signing, because I would have definitely taken Alex Scott. I rate Alex Scott. If you came to me last week and you said Alex Scott or Andrey Santos, I'm telling you Alex Scott every which way. We've given 50 million to Chelsea, and Chelsea are now expected to sign Alex Scott. And majority of Manchester United fans out there would tell you right now they would sign Alex Scott over Andrey Santos. They would have told you that. They'd tell you that today. Some would tell you that today. Some don't care anymore because now we've signed Santos, so he's the best player in the world. But let's just go 1 week ago, every single person's saying Alex Scott over Andrey Santos. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, INEOS might be, if they're trying to get support from the United fans, they might be the stupidest people on the planet. Like, they must be so oblivious and just out of tune to what the fan base is saying and feeling, and not hearing the concerns of the fan base. And paying attention to what the feeling is within the fan base. And they're just doing things because this is a really bad look. Like, if this transpires, like we signed Santos and now Chelsea go and they sign Alex Scott, that's a really, really bad look for the people in charge of Manchester United, because that's going to piss off. The fan base is already agitated. They're already aggravated. They're already upset. They're already feeling down. And then this dynamic happens. It's just going to piss people off more. And honestly, it puts a lot more pressure because they're going down this direction, and Scott goes to Chelsea and we get Santos. If we go in next season and we have a bad season and Carrick gets sacked and we're shit, it's already going to be, it's going to be amplified. It's going to be way worse. So I just feel like they're adding a lot of unnecessary pressure, because whatever they're doing, it has to work. People don't feel confident that it's going to work. People think it'll fail. But whatever they're doing for their sake and for the club's sake, it needs to work. And people are not very hopeful that it's going to work. So it's like we're starting at a shitty point when it's unnecessary. We don't have to be starting at such a negative point where we feel like we're already fucked before a ball is kicked of the season. we could start the season where we feel quite hopeful and quite positive, and there's a lot of like, hope, and the fan base is very like behind the way that we've gone about things. But the way things are going, if it continues to be this sort of level, we will start the season where a majority of the fan base is not necessarily going to be behind the team in a certain degree. So INEOS are crazy. I said it. Well, crazy, clueless, incompetent, stupid. I mean, you pick your choice of words. I mean, there's a lot of people that would say a lot of different things about them. What else do we have going on here? Now, a different sort of take to this, and a sort of different angle, because I do see a couple United fans talking about it in this way, saying we have signed the biggest names at the biggest prices for years, and the majority of them have flopped. I am okay with signing Andrey Santos for this amount of money, and him being, this level of quality or name. And again, I agree with part of that sentiment, but the other part is that there needs to be a balance of this. We've talked about this. I don't think it can ever be quality over quantity, and it can't be quantity over quality. You need to have quantity and quality for it to work. I think if you just get quality and no quantity, sure, we'll have one amazing player, but we'll have 7 holes in the team. And if you get quantity and quality, we have a bunch of useless traffic cones, pretty much, that aren't going to get the job done. They're not going to be good enough. So, listen, it's July 8th. I know preseason starts soon. I know we all want the players in and we want to be ready to go. The reality of the situation is the market closes September 1st. The season will start before then. The season will start mid-August, and we will be playing games. And we probably, once again, will still probably be trying to sign 1 or 2 players by the time we've already played 2 or 3 games, which is not ideal. But they still have time to strike a balance and sort of make it look good, make it feel good. There's still time. There's still time. It depends all on what they do from here. So far, it seems a bit underwhelming. Lots of people aren't happy. I can understand where they're coming from to a certain degree. I don't think it means it's 100% destined to fail, because I think we've seen many times in football, crazy things happen. Anything can happen. Expectations are one way and things go a different way. And sometimes we're surprised. Sometimes we're dead on the money about things. But I think we can still make this a good summer window. It just depends what they do from here. They still have another 2 months, pretty much. So we'll see how it goes, pushing on from here. What other news do we have? I mean, listen, like any other new signing, I wish Santos all the best. I hope this works out. I hope it's good. But I think also, the dominoes that fall after this deal is going to dictate really how good or how bad this signing is. I mean, we've just sort of basically, I think we've overpaid to Chelsea. I don't like that aspect. I don't think, I mean, I said it, I don't know, in May, April, March, no more money to Chelsea, no more money to clubs like that. We should not be giving them our money. There's plenty of players out there that we can sign that are not going to take the money and flip it around and get a player that we should probably be getting ourselves. But we've just given money to Chelsea, and they can go sign Wharton or Scott. And if they do so, it's a very bad look for INEOS because we obviously would have all liked to sign Wharton or Scott. We would have picked Wharton or Scott over Andrey Santos. So, I mean, if that happens, it's like INEOS have taken all their poker chips and they are, you know, they have an average hand and they've bluffed it all. You know, they could win the hand and they could pull a blinder and absolutely just, you know, win the entire pot, but they could lose everything. And this seems to be one of their gambles that they've done. They've done it a couple times, but this seems to be one of their gambles that they've done here. So, you're right about pressure because if a decent signing is not made and we rely on Santos, the pressure on him can be too much to handle. United fans will grill the lad. Remember, Andrey Santos. Yes, and but it's not even just about him. You are right, and I think that would be a massive responsibility, and I think that would be kind of a bit effed up to do to him because we've done it a few times. Okay, I think we've done it to like sort of the likes of Rasmus Højlund, and we've done it to a couple players where those players, nobody says that those are the guys that are ready to be sort of leading the line and taking up all that responsibility for Manchester United. But we've put them in that position anyway. And most of the time, basically almost all of the time, they've been absolutely crushed. But I'm not saying it's pressure specifically on him. I'm saying it's pressure specifically for the football club, for the season, the upcoming season, the team. Because, again, if you sign a certain level of player, a certain type of player, the fan base will be positive from the get-go. Before we even kick a ball, we'll be ready to go. We'll be backing everybody. It'll just feel better. The atmosphere around the team itself will be better because the fans will be positive about it and will be going. But I just, when it's negative because of the way we're going about the transfer market, it makes Carrick's job much more harder. Number one, I think the quality, you're making the job harder for him because he's gonna have to get something extra out of a player. Let's just say they're average. He's not going to succeed with average. He's going to have to try and pull something out of an average player and make them play above average. Why would you want to do that to somebody like Michael Carrick with that level of experience? Why would you want him to be fighting? He's fighting an uphill battle, and what you've done is you've made the hill more uphill. Why would you want to do such a thing when you can control the level of the hill? You know? And that's where I say pressure. Because the fans have an effect on the feeling of the team and the club, okay? And if this leaves us flat and underwhelmed and angry and agitated, okay, and we go in and the first 5 games we play like shit and we don't perform well and we don't win, it's just going to snowball. The fans are already pissed. The team's performing bad. Everybody's going to be like, I fucking knew it. I knew it. INEOS is shit. They fucked us. We're screwed. And it's just going to snowball. And we don't have to be in that position. We literally have control over that. INEOS have control over that. And they have a chance to make it so that it's not that. But they're taking a massive gamble. Massive gamble. Because if that's what if this transfer window is so underwhelming like that, and we go and we start next season and the first 5 matches are a disaster, it could have been totally avoided. Could have been totally avoided. I bet you Spurs will be much better than United next season. Well, I will say credit to Spurs because they're going out and spending the money. And I think they've learned a hard lesson. And, you know, I've been saying this. I've been saying it's fine to do smart business and good business, and you don't have to blow loads of money on every single sign. We don't have to sign 4 or 5 players for 80 to 100, 120 million plus for every player. We don't have to do that. We shouldn't do that. But also, I said we cannot be Spurs, because look what Spurs have done throughout their time. They only went a certain level high of transfer fee, and they only paid a certain level of wage. And that has transpired from basically when Poch was there all the way up to now. And that led them to being where they are. That led them to finishing 15th. That led them to having 2 back-to-back god-awful seasons, because they weren't spending the money to keep up with the level of competition. Whether people like it or not, money has a huge effect in today's game. You have to spend a certain level of money on a certain level of quality to keep up. So you can't ultimately cheap out. And if INEOS think that they can cheap out and still compete, they will find out the hard way, because you can't. And Spurs have sort of learned that lesson. Listen, Daniel Levy is gone. They got, I don't know who they got in charge, but clearly they're going in a different direction, because they're looking at last season and they're looking at the season before, and they're saying we are in a position where we are really fucked. We've just had 2 really bad seasons. We need to spend money, and we need to spend money on quality. And they've gone and got a player who I think is very quality in Sandro Tonali, and then somebody like Mateus Fernandez, who I would have been fine to pay 55 million for. He's a young guy, and maybe he does become a player with 85 million. And I think that's, for them, probably a decent risk. They got nothing to lose, because if they don't spend that money, they probably were going to end up having a 3rd shit season, relegated, and screwed. So they've seemed to learn their lesson as it stands right now, because they're out there buying quality and spending the cash. We seem to have gone and made the decision that we're not going to spend that much money, and we're going to sort of, it's like a DIY. It's like a do-it-yourself home project, where we could spend more money and have a higher quality level of product in the house, or we could do something that's decently good, that may be okay, but probably it's not going to look as nice. It's not going to last as long. I got what you said. I just pointed that aspect out. I agree with you too. United fans have no mercy for these young with expectations. Grace is here. Says, "Hey, everyone. Hope you're all well. How you doing, Grace? I hope you're well too, Grace. Lucky's here. Says, Glazers, pleased getting proven players. Andrey Scott has been convinced joining Champions League Manchester United first team. I don't think he's joining us, my friend. Seems like Chelsea are going to go for Alex Scott. And Andrey Santos is not I wouldn't classify him as a proven player. Just living life, F United. Well, I feel you. I mean, I kind of checked out for a while as well, Grace. So, listen, I miss the conversations. I miss all you. I miss sort of doing this. But with the World Cup going on and United basically doing nothing and the whole merry-go-round, I sort of checked out for a little bit. So I was kind of waiting for the World Cup to sort of go away. Today, obviously, there's no World Cup matches. So I was like, today's a nice day that we could sort of refocus on our football club. And it happened to be the day that apparently we've signed Andrey Santos. So, I'm interested to see next season whether the Spurs signing succeed to the injury curse. Lucky says Alex Scott only wants Champions League Manchester United. Well, we'll see about that, because that's not what I'm seeing. And I'm seeing that Chelsea are about to go all in for Alex Scott. Maybe he rejects him, but we did just basically give them 50 million. Not directly, but, not all at once. Let's see what people are saying here. Some more reactions, some more, I don't know who this is. Football journalist for the BBC. I mean, I don't really care, but, This guy said Andrey Santos is very similar statistically to Casemiro and was often compared to him by people in Brazil coming through. It looks like a signing on potential for United still, and in hoping that he learned lessons at Chelsea in the last campaign. He is still quite dynamic and, like Casemiro, has a goal in him and at more on loan with Strasbourg, often through headed goals. Yeah, I mean, I'm not buying that shit. I'm not buying that shit. I'm not buying potential. I'm not buying potential in terms of statistically he's similar to Cass. He's not Cass. He's not Cass. He probably won't be Cass. He could be Andrey Santos. He could be his own guy. Like I said before, Casemiro is a unicorn of a player. He's his own guy. There won't be another Casemiro. Casemiro is Casemiro. If Andrey Santos is going to be a good player, he's going to be his own player. I don't want to hear anything because he's fucking Brazilian. I don't want to hear anything about Andrey Santos statistically, stylistically similar to Casemiro. I don't want to hear that shit. I don't care. And anybody that wants to say anything like that, good. Go ahead and say it. But it means fuck all to me. It means absolutely nothing to me. I hope he's a good player. I hope he's a good signing. I hope the 50 million is worth it. I hope he comes and he adds value to our team. I hope he succeeds. And I hope at some point, he's a player that plays for us, that wears our kit, that represents our badge, and is a player that we're proud of. And, is a player that, provides for us on the pitch. I hope nothing more than that. But I don't want to hear anything about... I don't want to hear his name and Casemiro's name in the same sentence, paragraph. I don't want to hear it. It's so ridiculous. I hate when they do this shit. I hate when they do it. Grace says I'm already checked out. Lucky says he's very pleased with the transfer window. You might be one of the only ones, my friend. Which... Listen, if that's what you want to be, that's fine. But I'm not so far, and many of us are not. Nobody wanted Ederson and Santos before the window. Now we got them. They're amazing players. Well, that's what some people will be saying. But you are right, Grace. You are right. You asked anybody in May. 90% of people, 99% of people. Nobody told you Ederson. Nobody told you Santos. We have them. There will be some United fans saying that they're great, amazing players. We didn't ask. Nobody was asking for these players. So hopefully they do work out because we need them to work out. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot left for INEOS to do to convince us of whatever way they're trying to take this football club in, this direction that they want to take us. So. Potential, who is he learning from exactly? I don't know. Can't tell you. We need more than potential at our club. We absolutely do. Potential's all good and well, but potential without proven is nothing. So, and listen, Ederson is, I guess, to some certain level of a degree, he's proven to a certain level because he is an experienced player. He's not 21. He is on the more experienced side. But again, like when I look at Ederson and compare him to Casemiro, he ain't on that level. When I look at Ederson and I compare him to Tonali, or Tuchemeni or something like that, he ain't on that level. I've always said I think Ederson is a good upgrade for Ugarte. Somebody out there was saying, "Oh, that ain't saying much because Ugarte is shit." But what I'm saying is, I think if you take Ederson, you put him in the team for Ugarte, I think Ederson could be a good, useful player. But he is not the guy that fills the massive gap and the massive hole and gives us the massive upgrade. Andrey Santos is not that guy either, because he just doesn't have the experience. He hasn't played that amount of football. He has not developed to that level yet. So they could be two good, useful signings, but we still need that other level that we clearly don't have, and we haven't gotten yet. If he's that good, why didn't Chelsea keep him? Well, that's also another fair point. I mean, Chelsea do have they have 1 billion players, so no. But it's a good point as well. I mean, if he was really, really that good, in terms of like he's going to start and make a insane impact, I don't think Chelsea would sell him. And if they would sell him, it'd be for a lot of money. So, getting 3 midfielders underrated. We know how to do people. I mean, we'll see. Lucky, we'll see. For another 40 million, we might have bought a player like Tonali or Fernandez. 90 million on Ederson and Santos. Why not use 90 million for Tchouaméni? Well, we could have done that, but that doesn't really solve. I mean, the problem with that, Grace, is that that doesn't really solve. You know what? Maybe you could have got away with it. No, yeah, I mean, it is a fair point. I mean, we could have made a marquee signing for 90 million, 100 million, and then signed the other 2 guys. But we'll see. Maybe maybe there is still a marquee signing out there that they will make for the midfield. So, and maybe it'll make it look better and feel better. And sound better. You know. Like, listen, if we have Ederson and we have Andrey Santos, and then we go and splash the cash for a marquee signing, 80, 90, 100 million, and we get that high level quality of player that everybody wants, you know, I think that I think people will be a bit more happy with that. It'll feel a lot better. I am pleased we will prove people wrong. Alex Scott, Sanderberg, Andrey Santos, Manchester United again, and we'll see. We'll see. No stress. Enjoy life. I bloody hate this part of the time. Scumbag owners, they're ruining the club. But yeah, I feel you. I feel you, Grace. I feel you. I mean, real quick, we can talk. What do you guys think about the World Cup? What do you think about some of the performances so far? I mean, condolences to my friend Lyle. South Africa got knocked out. We got knocked out. Mexico are knocked out. Canada knocked out. All the host nations are knocked out. We got battered by Belgium. I mean, it was a shit performance. Absolutely shit performance. By us, by the US. England is there. And England, I mean, listen, I'll tell you what right now. My favorite match so far of the entire tournament was the England-Mexico game. I mean, that was a brilliant game of football. High energy. It was insane with the penalties. England getting a red card, and you're thinking England are fucked now with the red card, with the aspect that it was literally a Mexico home game in the Azteca. Mexico had a ridiculous record in the Azteca. Literally, they were undefeated, 8 wins, 2 ties, and 0 losses at the Azteca in the World Cup matches, and their record overall was like 72 wins, 18 draws, and 2 losses. And England pulled it out. I mean, it was great. And Jude was fucking phenomenal, man. Absolutely phenomenal. And Pickford had a really good game as well. Pickford was, Jude was my man in the match, but Pickford was close second behind. And, yeah, I don't know. A lot of people hate on Pickford, but Pickford does do this a lot, where he has these games where he is just, like, amazing. And then sometimes he's a bit scary in goal in terms of, like, he's not filling you with 100% confidence. But when he's locked in, he's locked in. Johnny Favorite says Baleba 60 million will take us. to the 150 million target for the 3 midfielders now. Hope everyone is well. Kisses. Well, could be. I feel like the Baleba thing, he's just like lurking in the background. My thing is, though, is that the thing about Baleba is, why don't we go and do the deal? Because, I mean, he's not involved in the World Cup. He's sitting there. Why are we not going for him? The Baleba thing worries me because it seems like Baleba has become this guy that is just like, if all else fails, and we're going to try and do every signing possible besides Baleba, and if all else fails, we'll just sign Baleba. Which, again, doesn't really fill me with confidence. Like, listen, if you think Baleba is the player and you want Baleba, go get Baleba in terms of United. You know, I know everybody's been put off by Baleba in the fact that, you know, he didn't have a very good season, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But my thing is, for the club, is like, this Baleba thing kind of is just like lurking in the shadows. And the Baleba view is getting worse and worse, because it just seems like we will do everything under the sun to sign any other player besides Baleba, but you're making it worse if we sign Baleba, because you're making the view just look worse and worse. If we actually end up with Baleba. Because if United were like, no, we believe in Baleba, we like Baleba, we know he's had a bad season, but it's okay, like, he's got the talent, we fully are behind him, we back him, and we go out and we make the signing, it gives a different message than, yeah, Baleba was once at the top of our list, but now this guy, we don't believe him at all, and then to end up with him at the end of all of it, you're painting a totally different message and picture, and you're making it fucking way worse. Again, optics. I don't know. They don't seem to understand this over there. They don't understand optics, but they're making shit worse. Oh, I forgot about the USA. Hold that. Well, listen, I support England too, so I'm a little bit relieved that, like, I don't have to do the USA versus England thing, because I had to do that once upon a time, and of course I had to back my country. I had to go with the USA, even though I know that they're not going to win. But I forgot what World Cup that was. Was it Africa World Cup 2010 when the USA played England? Because I always usually root for England and back England, because I don't really have. I mean, I support the USA, but Malta's never in there. So as a Maltese person, we latch on to whatever other country we decide to latch on to. But we pick our country from a young age. So Maltese people, they either support England, Italy. Some people support Brazil, or Argentina. But mostly it's a lot of English, because we have history with England. So a lot of Maltese people support England. The other half support Italy, because I mean, it's right there. Egypt was robbed. Yeah, I see a lot of people saying that. You know what? It gets even better, though, Ebenezer, because guess what? The entire officiating crew for the France-Morocco game, they are all from Argentina. Every single one of them. 5 officials, all from Argentina. So if you want to play into conspiracy theories and robberies and it being rigged, we'll see how that officiating goes, and we'll see what happens in that match, because I don't know, if you're Argentina, the one team you don't want to play is France. And for the first time, I believe, in all of World Cup history, there's never been an officiating crew that has been all one nationality, and they are going to be the first time in that match. So we'll see how that goes. Free Kobe Mainu as well. I am quite disappointed that Kobe has been brought there and hasn't featured not a single second at all. I mean, listen, it's one thing you don't want to start him, fine, but come on, not even as a sub. We can't get him on as a sub. I mean, what did we bring him there for? We might as well have just let him fucking relax, take a break, you know, do individual training, and prepare, for the upcoming season for Manchester United. I'm very disappointed that Kobe is not featuring at all. At all. Not even a single minute. Not even a single minute. Simon says, "Greetings to you. Good to have you back. Good to be back, brother. Not another Chelsea player. I thought Mount was enough. Well, no, not another Chelsea player. Another Chelsea player. Here we are. Here we are. So, I'm very pleased Christopher Bell, Jason Wilcock know how getting 3 midfielders, all decent at fair prices, Andrey Santos, Alex Scott, and Sander Berge. And Ederson. And I mean, I don't know how I feel about Sander Berge. I like Alex Scott, and if we were to get to Alex Scott, then okay, makes me feel a little bit better. I like Alex Scott. I would like to get Alex Scott, but yeah. Forza Portugal, free de low, sack Martinez, Cancelo is a scrub. Well, Martinez left. Actually, Jorge Jesus has been announced as the new manager of Portugal. So, yeah, there's that. And, yeah, poor old Ronaldo, the only trophy he's never won that would have completed his haul of trophies over the years. Yeah, you know what? And I think they really did him a disservice. I mean, the Portugal Federation. You knew it was probably going to be his last World Cup. And instead of going out there and getting a manager that would have been fit to manage that Portuguese squad, you went and you got him Roberto Martinez, who's a shit manager and squandered the Belgian, golden era, and did absolutely fuck all with him, and is not a good manager in general, which is why he's been sitting at a desk for quite some time. And I just feel like I feel like the Portuguese Federation just did Ronaldo such a disservice by getting Roberto Martinez and what was probably always going to be his last World Cup. Like, you could have gotten any sort of other higher quality manager. I think they would have played much better. They wouldn't have went out the way they've went out. And they just played. It was just so disappointing to watch the way they played with the talent that they have. But you know what? It is what it is. And, sometimes in life, you just don't get everything that you want. And he's gotten a lot, but he'll never have that World Cup. And it is what it is. I'm sure he'll be at peace with it. So, Ronaldo's a scrub too. He don't do anything for the team. Listen. Ronaldo is 41 years of age. He doesn't have the pace that he has, and that he doesn't, that he used to have. And Ronaldo, let's put it this way: the team needed to do something for Ronaldo at this stage in his career. At this point, Ronaldo did a lot for Portugal over the years. It was their time to do something for Ronaldo. Like, Ronaldo carried them through a lot of shit. It was time for Portugal to carry Ronaldo. They let him down. You know what I mean? They let him down. Everybody knows Ronaldo doesn't have that pace anymore. Their job was to basically spoon feed him in the box, and get shit done. And they didn't do it. But I blame the manager for that. I mean, the tactics were shit. The lineup, the way they played was shit. They have that level of talent, and you play that kind of football with that level of talent, disgrace. So, Saturday should be a good battle for the super strikers, Kane and Haaland. Yes, that's going to be interesting, and I think it's going to be a good game, and I think England should win. They should be winning that match. I think they can win that match. Haaland's going to be a bit tricky. All right. But I'm expecting a good game of football. A good game of football. That's what I want to see. You know, some of these games, and this is why I don't like international football too much, because some of the games are just, I'm going to be honest, I like this World Cup. It's been good, but some of the games have just been so boring. And not to disrespect any of the countries, because that's not what I'm trying to do. But like Ghana, watching Ghana play was like, it was watching paint dry, okay? Because of the way they just set up to play. Paraguay was another one. You know, these countries that played this like ultra defensive. I mean, take a book out of fucking Cape Verde. Take a page out of Cape Verde's book. All right? Cape Verde is basically like Malta. They're a country with 500,000 population. All right? They got nobody. Every game they played, they went they tried to at least, or they went toe to toe. They didn't just sit back and defend the whole game. They did do counterattack, but they played with attacking intent. They moved the ball well. They had purpose. They scored goals, and they pushed big teams to the very brink. You know, they almost beat Argentina. They almost kicked Messi out of the World Cup. And so, like, for them, big respect. Then you have countries that have better talent, with a larger population pool, and these guys come there and they just want to, you know, do their best impression of Trump and build a wall and not play football. And it's just like, I don't want to see you anymore. So, start Mano and rest Rashi for the game. Well, Rashi didn't even start last game, so I'm glad we got 3 sagas finished. Bring back Garnacho. No. What about Sangare and or Stiller? I don't know. We got to see, Simon. I mean, not really any news on them right now, but I guess they are still available. No, what care, Brazil? I'm an England fan. So far, I've only seen 2 decent England games, our opener and Mexico. No, you are right, but I think it does matter on the opposition. I listen, Mexico, they play attacking football, all right? And even the opener. But in Mexico, they play attacking football. They play open football, which when that's the case, I think it allows England to play good. But when England plays a team like Ghana, okay, England struggle. And it's very boring. And I don't think it's necessarily too much on England as it is the opposition. We've seen a lot of games so far in this World Cup. Teams that play like Ghana, that set up in that manner, okay? The matches are very boring. They're very boring. There's no goals. It lacks intensity. It lacks pace. You know, they just drag. They just drag. So, but now we're getting to the point where these teams that are left, they are high quality and they are going out to play football. So the matches should be of high level. Like France-Morocco should be a good game. Should be an exciting game. Hold on, because I forgot all of the... like England-Norway should be a good game. It should not play out like England versus Ghana. It should not. It should not be a boring, you know, just shitty match. Let me see the thing again. Argentina, Switzerland. Like, listen, Switzerland, they got some stuff about them. I think they'll go and play football. I don't think it's going to be super open ended, but Switzerland has been performing really good as well. I expect Spain and Belgium to be an open game. So I think these last 4 games, they're going to be good games. They're going to be good games. I don't think we'll see 0-0s and go all the way to penalties anymore. I think there will be goals in all the games. They could still end up going to extra time and going to penalties. But I think the 0-0s are gone. I don't think we'll see a 0-0 in the remaining matches. The fans have been more entertaining. The Boston bars must really be missing their favorite drinkers, the Scots. The Spain-Portugal game was shocking. Yeah, it was low quality. You love your people but hate your country. Cape Verde with the goal of the tournament. Yeah, that was a crazy goal. Crazy golazo, man. Golazo. I don't even know the guy's name that scored it. I'm not gonna lie, but it was what a goal. Goal of the tournament. Goal of the tournament. How can you stop Haaland apart from tying his ponytail to the goalpost? Listen, it's very hard. Because they try to send him in behind, so you can't play too high because he does have pace for a big guy. And if you play too high, all it takes is one good ball over the top, and he will get past probably your center backs. England, I think they need Dan Burn. Because Dan Burn has pace, and Dan Burn is massive as well. Like, he is a huge guy. I think England, I think he's going to have to use Dan Burn. Because Dan Burn can keep up with the pace, but he also has the physicality, and he also has the height. And the thing is, with Haaland, you have to play deeper so he doesn't get in behind. But then you do need to have the height, and you have to be locked in on him the whole game. Almost double team for the crosses that come into the box. And it's not easy to do because, listen, you put in a good cross at a good angle, it's hard to defend, and sometimes you can't defend it, and all it takes is for him to get one head, or a little bit of separation, a little bit of space in the box, that ball falls to him, and he's going to score the goal inside the box. So it's not easy, but we've seen people have done it before. There's been games where he doesn't score. There's games where he does ghost, and he is Ghostland. So you just have to execute that game plan and shut him out. But it's it's easier said than done, but it's not impossible. We've seen it before. The Swiss game last night was boring. I didn't bother with extra time. It was very boring. It was very boring. I managed somehow to make it to the penalties, which was the best part of the whole game, because we all love penalties, but it was. There has been so much added time counting the ad break that if you add up all the time, you'll have enough for an extra game. When 2030 comes along, I hope they go back to the old format. They will. They will. They will. Listen, it's an American thing. I told you all before. America is a place that's all about money. I've mentioned it a bunch of times. Why do you think that, the Glazers were having United go on tour in the US back to back times? Money. As an American, I warn all my European friends out there, protect your game. Protect your game, because I'm telling you now, they're coming for it. They're coming for it. They're coming for it. You as Europeans don't realize the game of football has a tremendous amount of market to be exploited in terms of money. Okay, football is already the biggest sport around the world. It already makes a shit ton of money. But if you commercialize it the way they do sports in the US, you can probably triple, quadruple, quintuple the amount of money. And, with social media and us moving into the future and everything being more connected, as you can see, there's a lot more American investors getting involved in football abroad. And I can tell you now, they're not doing it for the love of the game. They're doing it for the love of money, because there's a lot of money to be made in this sport, which will come at a cost for fans. So, listen, we all knew what it was. We all knew what it was. They did hydration breaks for commercials to make money. This World Cup, they've made a shit ton of money. It's the most expensive World Cup. It's the most money FIFA has probably made on a World Cup. They're very happy about that. So, protect your sport as much as possible, because I know they can't do certain things in certain countries, but they will be trying to do it somehow, some way. And I don't know. For those of you that do go to matches, what is the average price of a Manchester United ticket? Average price at Old Trafford. What is the average price of a ticket? Because whatever it is, if it's £65 or £70 or £80, I can guarantee you they will try to make it at one point probably £150. Average price, 200, 250, like it is here. To go watch a basketball game, go watch a baseball game, average price is 100, 150, and that's not even really good seats. Those are what you would describe as sort of the shittier seats. If you want nice seats, good seats, close seats, you're paying 300, 350, 400, 450, depending on what kind of game it is as well, and who's it's against. Natasha says, hi, Eric. How's things? Long time no see. Have been busy. My dad got rushed into the hospital Monday. Oh, no. I'm so sorry. He had a bleed on the brain. Oh, my God. And he also had a stroke, and he's got 9 weeks left to live. Oh, my God. That's terrible, Natasha. I'm really sorry to hear that. Yeah. I'm be honest. I don't really have anything to say. I'm sorry about that. That's horrible. I wish the best. That's really sad and really really hard to hear. I just listen. Whatever time you got left with him, spend the most time you got, and make it count. And don't hold anything back. Say everything you got to say, and spend all the time you got left with him. I'm sorry. I really am sorry about that, Natasha. That's terrible, terrible. But yeah. I mean, listen. We're here for you if you need it, and if I hope you got family around, and or others to be around you as well. Some of our players are returning back from the World Cup. We still have a few left in, and only had one player injured. Caught the penalties last night. Got back from the hospital at 10 p.m. We also have got a heat wave here in the UK. Still with the heat wave. I mean, you guys are just I kept awake somehow during the Mexico game. Penalty of caffeine to keep me awake. Yeah, I mean, anybody that missed that game, you missed the game, man. I see the Norway-England game might be canceled or postponed due to extreme heat you are having in the USA. I mean, well, I don't know where the game is. It is pretty hot here. It's cooled down a little bit because we had a massive storm on the east coast of the United States. But some places are hotter than others. Where is this game being played? In Miami. I mean, it is definitely hot and humid there, as it already is. When is the game? When is that game? The 11th. The 11th. Saturday. I think it'll be all right. I don't think it's gonna get. Is he Natasha, is he awake? Like, is he conscious? Your father. When we had 11 minutes at a time in the Mexico game, that was the most nervy 11 minutes Mexico could have. They could have equalized. You know what though? I did say this. I was watching the match with my friends, and I was telling them I was like England getting that red card actually hurt Mexico. It actually hurt Mexico because Mexico were playing. Mexico were pretty dangerous, and the game was quite open, which I think was like playing to Mexico's sort of advantage to a certain degree. And England were struggling kind of a bit defensively. But when England got that red card, and then obviously they got the penalty and they scored the goal and they went up by 2, it actually really hurt Mexico because England obviously went into a 5-back. They had to defend. They had no choice. They had to do what they had to do. But it closed up the game. It closed up the space, and Mexico really struggled to try and find an answer to that and create. Once England sort of shut the game down and shut down the space, Mexico became really lackluster. And I was just like, I wonder how the game would have actually went if England didn't get that red card. And it just sort of stayed open. I think it would have been much more interesting. I think Mexico probably maybe would have had a better chance to actually get something out of the game. Here is Toronto. The Blue Jays and Toronto FC are expensive as the Toronto Raptors. Yeah. But that's America. That's America. It's just what we are. It's money comes first. Money comes first. Everything else is second. Even to the detriment of people's lives or health, unfortunately. But it is what it is. Our England game is not the type of game if you watched in hospital. Prayers, that's something I should say. But I was kind of shocked. I didn't really know what to say. But all my prayers to you and your family and Natasha, and I hope for all the best, or maybe I hope for a miracle. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't sound too good that they say that he only has that amount of days to live. That's a bit shocking. But yeah. Seth Carr, Subedi says, love from Nepal, by the way. Good night. Love to Nepal. Shout out Nepal. I know a couple of people from Nepal, actually. They live in Malta. And a couple of them work for my cousin in the restaurant business. So shout out I think I'm saying this right, the Nepalese. But shout out Nepal. Good people from Nepal. I like them a lot. They're funny. They're good people. And y'all make some really good food as well, man. You guys know how to cook. Can we loan out some young players in the team? I mean, we could maybe, but I feel like those will probably come at the sort of towards the back end of the transfer window. So, Manchester United will conduct a thorough medical exams on Ederson before determining whether to proceed with the £35 million deal. Clarity is expected soon now that the World Cup has finished. That is coming from Ben Jacobs. So interesting updates, developments. I don't really know what's going on with this whole medical. So the deal is not actually done, and well, it is in a certain sense, but I don't know what this story is with the whole. Does he have some sort of like a medical concern that it's being written that we're going to do a thorough medical exam? Like, is there something that he has that might be a potential cause of like concern or issue? Because, I don't know, to my understanding, Manchester United should be conducting thorough medical exams on literally every single player we sign. That should just be standard business practice. But, okay. Maybe they're just playing into the, stories here. Now, we have this guy saying that the signing of Andrey Santos, ticks almost every box for the type of recruitment most United fans have been requesting for the better part of a decade. Young, high potential, technical, Prem, and European experience before the huge price increase. Data loves him. Expertly recruited by Vivell, joining with high motivation not for money. call him a Chelsea reject, fine. He can join one of the most illustrious lists in football as a Chelsea reject. Their fans don't see it that way. I'm very excited about his potential here, and he's a great fit. We signed Ugarte for £50 million, and we're ready to sell him for around 25 million before the injury. We sold Garnacho, who had already won the Carabao Cup and FA Cup and made far more first team appearances than Santos, for £40 million. Then spent 50 million on Santos. So much for not wanting to overspend. Yeah, I think, listen, I think there's a discrepancy between the United fans and looking of what's the meaning of overspending, and what INEOS are looking at in the meaning of overspending. Because I think they're looking at sort of flat rates, saying 80 million on a player in general, or 90 or 100, is maybe considered to them overspending. When you can sign a player for 50 or 40 or 55 or 60 million, and those are considered just flat all around good fees. But the thing is, the fans are obviously putting it into context that he hasn't played a lot, and he doesn't have the level of ability as like a Tuchemeni or a Tonali, for example, and that Chelsea signed him for 10 million and now they're selling him for 50. And I believe somebody said it before, they would have paid £35 million for him. So United fans are viewing it as we've overspent because we're overpaying, in terms of we've paid more money than what we should pay for this guy. But INEOS are probably looking at it as we signed a midfielder for 50 million, while the rest of the midfielders are going for 80, 90, 100, 110, and 120. Again, two different ways of looking at it, two types of thinking. And the hierarchy not really being lined up with the fan base, and the fan base not really being lined up with the hierarchy. And here we are again. So, I don't know what Henderson was thinking. He hasn't played, and now he is crocked. Yeah, I mean, he's just an idiot. There's been a rash of managers quitting in this World Cup. If we lost to Congo, then I could see Tuchel quitting. Yeah. Congo was another country, like, all defense, not wanting to play. Surely there must be some players in the World Cup that are on our radar. I don't know. Spurs must also be monitoring Ederson and determined to get their paws on him. I just hope we haven't wasted 50 million on Santos. I would sell Ugarte for 25 million. The injury has delayed us him selling. Yeah, I mean, he's not going anywhere for now. So, the injury to Ugarte has fucked us, because we can't sell him. No team will buy him while he's injured. And also, we're going to lose a year off of his contract, and he's not going to play. So whatever we were going to sell him for this summer transfer window, we're going to get less for him next summer window when we do sell him. So we've gotten totally fucked on that aspect, unfortunately. It is what it is. It is what it is. Sometimes shit happens, but there's nothing we can do about it. The Glazers have sold us. There is no value in the market. The Glazers have told us there's no value in the market. Yeah, I remember those. But listen, at that time, you could get away with it. Sir Alex could get away with it because he was Sir Alex and he was able to do things that you would liken to miracles. And we were still able to compete and we were still able to win. It's 2026. Football is a very different world. And basically coming out and saying there's no value in the market doesn't work anymore. It doesn't work anymore, because you could say that the market is fucked. You could say that the market is inflated. You could say that the market is ridiculous. But basically saying there's no value in the market and then doing what we used to do under Sir Alex, not really signing to the extent of players that we could have. Listen, there was times where we signed players under Sir Alex where it was like we weren't signing superstars, and we had every opportunity to go sign superstars. Did we sign some top world-class players? Did we spend some money at times? Yes. But we could have definitely done way more, especially at that time, and we didn't. You can't do that now. That doesn't work because football has moved on and everybody spends money and everybody has money and everybody is spending a shit ton of money. And if you choose not to spend any money and say there's no value in the market, well, there's no value in your club and there's no value in your team because you're going to be shit. I know we have like this fear and this PTSD of we spent a shit ton of money and we all pissed it down the drain. But that to me is still not an excuse to not go and spend money. We just spent it wrongly. You still have to spend money. You just need to spend it rightly. Like, because we've pissed away money before doesn't mean that we shouldn't spend 250 million. We absolutely need to spend 250 million. We need to spend 250 million in the right way on the correct players. Not because we spent 350 million on players in the past and they all flopped, so now we should only spend 100 million. That's totally wrong. Can we just retire De Ligt off? He won't be playing for a long time, if at all. He's getting paid for just sitting on his backside at home. Well, no, we can't do anything about that, so. Can't do anything about that. But, I can't see us getting Chouameni unless Jose can replace him, if Jose lets him leave, as well. And he wants to leave, so. I don't know. I don't know if we're getting him either. I don't know what's happening on that front. You know, you get one piece. I do see people here saying that, you know, the way that this is being worded with this update surrounding Ederson, and a couple people that I do rate, you know, that I do follow, that I do rate them, and I respect their opinions and thoughts and comments. I do see some people saying that this update that is worded in the way of United will conduct medical exams on Ederson before determining whether to proceed with the €45 million deal. Clarity is expected soon now that the World Cup has finished. They are saying that this deal does sound off, like there is an underlying issue that has been found. It does sound that way a little bit. We'll see if it's actually that way, but it does sound that way. I mean, it's just that update does sound weird. There's no need for it to sound that way. You know what I'm saying? A normal update would be the World Cup is over, Ederson can finally do his medical, and then he will sign as a Manchester United player. That's not the update that we're getting. The update that we're getting is that United will conduct a thorough medical exam before determining whether to proceed, and clarity is expected soon. That doesn't sound super confident in that the deal is going to be done. So are we going to get a massive U-turn in the next couple of days? And basically it's going to come out that the Ederson deal has been cancelled for whatever reason, they'll say medically or whatever. Andrey Santos will be our actual first signing and our only signing, and we'll sort of be back to square one where we have one midfield signing, and we still have to go and sign another two, which sort of makes sense to the Athletic report that they were reporting earlier, a couple hours ago, that United are still looking to sign two more midfielders. That would make sense if Ederson is not getting signed anymore, and that deal is dead. So, interesting. I don't know what's happened. If it is a medical thing and a medical issue, I will applaud the club because we should not be signing players that have any sort of a medical concern, because we cannot have medically faulty players. Okay? Mason Mount, you know, seems to be one of those guys, and it's gone bad, and, you know, we have not gotten the money back for him in terms of what we've paid, in terms of what we've received back on the pitch, because he's barely ever available. We still have Luke Shaw here. We had Phil Jones once upon a time. We had, like, Edison Cavani, who couldn't stay fit. Zlatan Ibrahimovic, who, while they were good players, couldn't stay fit. Um, and now we have this issue with Delit, who, again, Delit, very good player, but he has had a bit of an injury history, and now he's had a really, really bad injury, and he's had surgery. And, so we can't really afford to be spending 45 million euros on a player that the people that do medical exams and the doctors or the physios or whatever, whoever the people are, and they look at it and they say, listen, he has this thing with him that is causes him to be a liability. If he has that, cancel the fucking deal. Unfortunately, we go back to sort of square one and have one midfield signing, but not taking players that have medical liabilities with them. We cannot have that. So, this window, we have been going 2 steps forward and 10 back. Spurs and City have bought the players we spent ages chasing. If we are going to buy, we need to make money, and doing that, we have to sell players. We have money though. We have money. We just need to. It's not that we don't have money. We have money. They just need to be willing to spend the money on a specific player. We have money. The season we just had, the profit that they made the club turn by doing all those cuts, we have money. They just are not willing, it seems like, to spend 100 million on one guy, while Manchester City and Tottenham are willing to do so. So that's the key difference. It's not like we're dead broke and we don't have the money to buy the players. We have the money to buy the players. They're just not willing to pull the trigger on it. I was comparing this window like a book. I thought we were going to get great expectations, and instead we got nobody so far. We have to get 2 players signed before preseason to break them in. We should. Next summer, can we not get players from Newcastle? I don't know. But yeah, this is this Ederson deal. I'm gonna go out right here on a limb and say that this Ederson deal looks like it's gonna get canceled. I think we're gonna get news in the next day or so, that there's some sort of a medical problem with him, and that we are no longer interested in doing the deal. Basically, they're gonna say he failed the medical, and I mean, unless he passes the medical, and the journalists are just playing on heartstrings right now, for clicks and interaction. But it just seems very weird the way that this is being reported. I've never seen. I mean, we supposedly signed him ages ago. We didn't do the medical. He went and played with Brazil. So I don't really understand what the medical issue would be, but just the reporting of this, unless the journalists are playing with us for clicks and interaction to try and make it seem like there's some sort of an issue and get people all riled up, it seems very weird. It seems very, very weird the way that this is being talked about. And this has come back into the forefront. So David Ornstein 2 minutes ago on the Athletic FC podcast said Manchester United lined up a deal for Ederson that is agreed club to club and with the player. He does still need to complete his medical. The first part of it took place before the World Cup. I don't really understand what's happening. Well, either this deal is about to fall through, or the media, in terms of the journalists, are just fucking about and trying to make a story out of something that's not a story, because there's been this little weird shit going on with the medical, in that he did part of the medical, but then he got called to the national team, so they didn't finish the medical, and he went with Brazil, and they basically told him, after you come back, we'll do the second part of the medical, and maybe there is no problem, and he'll do the medical and he'll go through, and that's it, and it'll be fine. And the journalists are just using that as a weird thing because there's been this narrative that he we were gonna go do a U-turn on it. So I guess we'll find out. Um, how can we guarantee that Shaw won't get injured? We can't. You can't guarantee that any player won't get injured. Bruno could get injured for all we know. Sesko could get injured, and Buemo can get injured. Cunha could get injured. Anybody can get injured. There's no guarantee for anybody. We still have debts plus a smaller matter concerning our new stadium. Yeah, but I mean, they're not paying the debt, are they? So I don't think they're really concerned about the debt. In some ways, I'm glad that we won't get Tonali. Let's preserve him. I think it's I think it's a bit of a, I think it's a bit of it's a bit of a travesty. I really like Tonali. I wish we would have gotten him. But yes. I'm just sticking around because we are getting some news right now. So I'm just sticking around for these updates because this is the time that we get updates. And essentially you're kind of getting two shows in one because we were supposed to go live literally at this time and not at the time that we went live at. There's something they're not telling us about Ederson. Well, what I'm saying is there's been a rumor that we were backing out of the Ederson deal for whatever reason, whether they didn't want him or there's some sort of medical problem that they found and now that they don't want to sign him. There's been this rumor. We've agreed to deal with Andrey Santos and Chelsea, and we're getting him in. And people were saying that deal doesn't make sense because we went from Ederson and a player like Tonali or Elliot Anderson or whatever to Ederson and Andrey Santos, and they're essentially like almost the same player. Some people are saying, so which pushed them to saying that the fact that we've gone and signed Santos on top of these rumors makes it seem like even more now that we're not going to sign Ederson. What I'm going to say is there's either truth to that and we're going to end up not signing him because there's something that has gone on medically and they're not going to take that risk and they're going to back out. Or this is all a bunch of bullshit. And what actually happened is that United kind of just made it just happened to be a little bit of a mess in that we did the deal. Because if you remember, we did the deal and we were going to do a medical and he wasn't involved in the Brazil squad. And then there was an injury in the Brazil squad and then he got called up to Brazil. So I think what happened was in the middle of them doing the medical, they did one part of the medical, but then he got called up to Brazil and he had to leave immediately. And so he went with Brazil and they basically were like, we'll do the other part of your medical once you're done with the World Cup. Well, the World Cup is done for Brazil. They're out. So now is the time where you do the second part of the medical. So he's either going to do the second part of the medical and he's going to get signed and there's nothing wrong and everything is fine. And the media is just like, making this a bigger thing than it actually is. Or there's actually something there and we're going to back out of this deal. But we did get another update here about some Jay Percy in the Telegraph is saying Tchouaméni is a serious target for Manchester United. But there are doubts over the size of the transfer fee and whether he will be persuaded to stay at Real Madrid by Jose Mourinho. So again, this Tchouaméni thing sort of not going away, but not really tipping in, the favor for us. Please keep Lemons fit, or we could get stuck with Bayender if he doesn't go. Yeah, Lemons is fine. Don't worry about that. We haven't seen one goal from Bruno in the World Cup. Yeah, well, we're not going to see it. We're not going to see it because he's out. Warren has gone very quiet lately. Has anyone else gone for him? Supposedly Chelsea are interested in him. Chelsea have a couple of options on the table. They're looking supposedly at Alex Scott. They're looking supposedly at Adam Wharton. So he's gone very quiet for us. But I think there's a couple of the teams that they're interested in him. I think Liverpool might still be interested in Adam Wharton as well. So I don't know what's happening. Uh, oh, makes sense. But yeah. Let's see. Any more news? No. People are now writing out. People are now feeling like the Edison deal is going to be off. I mean, I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening anymore. We signed Andrey Santos. We're about to unsign Edison when he was supposed to be signed already. I mean, I don't really know. I don't really know. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think we'll sort of leave that up. What was that update? The additions of Santos and Ederson may not be the last signings in that position. Tuchemeni is a serious target, but there are doubts over the size of the transfer fee. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. There's a lot of discrepancy coming out right now. Um, Jay Percy in the Telegraph 6 seconds ago. Ederson will seal his move to Manchester United later this week. So, I mean, there you go. If you want to believe him, but this is the updates we're getting right now. Live breaking news. Jay Percy in the Telegraph is saying United will sign Ederson later this week. Move will be completed. I kind of feel like I kind of feel like it'll probably happen. I am more inclined to believe. I really don't think he has any sort of serious medical injury that would put. I mean, he played for Atalanta. He was fine. He went and played with Brazil. He might have picked up a bit of a knock at the end of that last game because I think he did get injured just slightly, a little bit. But as far as I kind of feel like, I mean, that updates sounded weird, but now I'm trying to think. Now I'm switching. Now I'm switching sides on this, and I'm saying I think the media are trying to make a because the media are snakes. I think the media are trying to make a bigger meal out of this. I think they're trying to jump on the back of this weird rumor wherever it came from. Um, I think they're trying to get clicks and interaction. And they're trying to basically fucking create a whirlwind. Um, the most logical thing is that they did one part of his medical. They let him go to Brazil, and they were like, after the World Cup is done, come back and we'll do the other part of your medical, and then we'll finish we'll complete the signing. I think that makes the most sense. So I think that's what's happening now. I think the media is writing updates in that they're wording it in a certain way because there's been all this like confusion about this shit going on. So, um, Chelsea have signed Quenda for 40 million. And they did that last year. We missed out big time not getting Fernandez. He could have had Champions League football. Listen, that's his choice too. He made the choice. He could have chose not to go to Tottenham. He went there. Or are you talking about Enzo Fernandez? When is the Baleba saga ever going to end? Either when we make our all three signings or when we sign him. You know? Okay, another update here. Sully talks. Manchester United are very happy internally with the signing of Andrey Santos. They thought that Chelsea wouldn't sell him this summer given his high ceiling, let alone for only £50 million. United want another midfielder alongside Santos and Ederson. Medicals soon for both. So this story is getting clarified a little more. Seems like, again, Ederson will be signing. Whoever is saying that there's some sort of medical thing with Ederson appears to be bullshit. Ederson will be signing. Santos is confirmed in terms of the deal is done. Medicals will be for both. We'll have two of our signings, and United are still looking for another midfielder. So that leaves the room for at least, I guess, one marquee signing there. I mean, at the very least, I mean, if you're looking for some sort of ray of positivity, at least United want another midfielder. Because we need three. We always needed three. They were talking about two for the longest time. We definitely need three. The fact that Ugarte is injured and won't be available even furthers that we need three. And if we were to not get three, it would be a disservice and completely 110% underwhelming. We also have this update surrounding Alex Scott. Jay Percy saying in the Telegraph, saying Alex Scott is another player on United's radar, though the England international may sign a new contract with his present club. I mean, I don't really understand what's going on with the Alex Scott thing. I would like Alex Scott very much. I think he's a good player. He's got good abilities, good quality. He's got a fucking good shot on him. He's good at dribbling. He plays the midfield game the way that I like my midfielders to play the game. Doesn't shy from the ball, gets on the ball, accepts the responsibility, tries to dictate and have an impact in the game, constantly at all times, no matter, the opposition. I've seen him do it for Bournemouth against all types of opposition. I like the way he plays the game. I like the way he plays as a midfielder. I would like him. I don't know what's going on with Alex Scott. I don't know why he would sign a new deal with Bournemouth when he's got clubs like us or Chelsea and a couple others knocking at the door. Each their own, I guess. I was a young man when we first approached Baleba. Now, yes. So was I. Now I'm 762 years old. Brazil wasn't their usual best as you normally associate them with. I think it was the way that Ancelotti set them up, especially that last game. They were very worried about Haaland getting in behind, and they tried to play counterattack, and that's just not Brazil's way. And they played very disappointing. Especially specifically that match. Spurs are so determined to get championship football. I hope we haven't signed another lemon with Santos. We'll see. Is the Santos signing a replacement for Casemiro? It shouldn't be, but I'm sure some people out there will start trying to say that because he's Brazilian. And look, we got two Brazilians for the price of one. We got two Brazilians to fill Casemiro's shoes. We got Ederson and Andrey Santos. So, we got two Brazilians. One Brazilian plus one Brazilian equals Casemiro. Somebody out there will be saying that shit. But no, they should not be. They should not be. I wouldn't mind Sangare and or Stiller. they don't seem to be ones that we're looking at. But you know, you never know. Again, I don't think anybody was predicting that we would sign Andrey Santos at any point. You know, from January on up until basically today or in the last couple days. But here we are with Andrey Santos. So, I mean, as it stands right now, with what's being reported, Sangare or Stiller don't look like they're ones we're gonna get. But you never know at this point in time with the way things are going. Let's see what else. Are we getting anything else? Yeah. I mean, listen, I don't know. Ben Jacobs is saying thorough medical exams. I think he's a bit of a fuck. I think he's a bit of a dick, Ben Jacobs, because he strikes me as one of these guys that he tries to do shit for clicks. Um, you know, again, he's not the thing about Ben Jacobs is like he's not lying though, right? But he's just exaggerating. I think he exaggerates a lot. I think he writes shit as a journalist sometimes that is more opinionated than actual journalism fact. And he does this because it's like muddying the lines. It's muddying the waters a bit. Like he's not making things up. He's not just writing like completely fabricated stories. Manchester United are going to do a medical exam on Ederson. That was always part of the plan. He's wrote thorough medical exams. In my opinion, any club that signs any player, I'm pretty sure the standard protocol of procedure is to do a thorough medical exam. I don't think any club, unless you're a shit-run club that's literally a joke, I don't think any club signs a player and does a half-ass medical exam. I'm pretty sure when you sign a player, they do a thorough medical exam on every single player they sign, or at least they should be doing that. I think what Ben Jacobs has done is basically reported the truth and that United are going to do the medical exam on Ederson, which was always scheduled to do. The guy was just at the World Cup. Maybe they gave him a little bit of breathing time from getting knocked out of the World Cup, going back home, getting his shit sorted, and going to Manchester. Okay? So it's been a few days. And I think all Ben Jacobs done has seen that there's been this little rumor that United aren't going to sign Ederson, and all he's done is he's thrown the word thorough into this update and has sent everybody into a fucking frenzy because the word thorough means that Ederson has some sort of medical problem with him, and United are going to do this thorough medical exam, and he's going to fail it, and we're not going to sign him. And I think it's a bunch of bullshit. I think it's a bunch of bullshit. I think Ederson will do the medical exam. I think he'll pass the medical exam, and I think he'll sign. I think this thorough medical exam is literally just it's a bunch of bullshit. It's a bunch of bullshit. Axe says, hello, you are finally back. Can you sum up the main points until now? I was washing my hair. Well, we signed Andrey Santos from Chelsea. We've given them £50 million. There has been a discrepancy over if we're signing Ederson or not, because first it started with, why would we sign Andrey Santos when he's basically the same as Ederson? And going from Ederson and, I don't know, like Tonali or somebody else or Elliot Anderson or whatever, doesn't make sense to sign Andrey Santos. Now it's developed into Ederson is going to do a medical. Ben Jacobs has given us an update saying that United are going to conduct a thorough medical exam, which has sent people into a panic or a frenzy because they don't like the word thorough and they don't like the way it reads, which makes it seem like there is a medical problem with Ederson, which means that the deal is going to be off and it's going to be cancelled, which means that we will have Andrey Santos as one signing and we'll have one midfield signing and we'll be back to one midfield signing. Who is that? Andrey Santos is a 22-year-old Brazilian central midfielder that played for Chelsea, and no longer plays for Chelsea, and now plays for us. And he is one of the signings of the midfield. He is Brazilian. He's got loads of potential, but he's not a guy that he's not on the level of Tchouaméni. He's not on the level of Tonali. He's not on the level of Bruno Guimaraes or somebody like that with experience and established. But yeah. Midfield should be interesting. Who plays alongside Bruno and or Mbeumo? I don't know. Will be interesting. I mean, Cunha has been playing there for a while on the wing, so it's going to be interesting to see if we continue to do that or if we end up signing somebody that comes in and sort of takes that position and gives us a little bit more depth and stuff. Am I sitting out of frame? What's going on there? Is he any good? I mean, I can't really tell you. He has. I would say he's decently good. He has good potential about him, technical ability and versatility and stuff like this. But how good he's going to be, I can't really tell you. He hasn't played a lot of football. He's played about 20 total matches at his time in Chelsea. Chelsea signed him for £10 million, I believe like 2 or 3 years ago. And we've purchased him for £50 million from Chelsea. Apparently United are extremely happy. They were interested in him last summer. They were probably scouting him before. They probably weren't too happy that Chelsea signed him originally. Chelsea have a gajillion players, so he could be good, and they just don't care. Chelsea is a mess of a club anyway at its current moment. And Chelsea will get rid of a player for money, good or bad. Their fans don't seem too pleased that they've sold him, so that might be a good indicator. But I don't know. He's a player that could be good, could be bad, a bit of the unknown, a lot left to sort of prove. We're going to have to see him play in the United kit. We're going to have to see him play in the United team to really gauge what he's really about, and how much work there is to do with him. Maybe he comes in and he impresses and we go, well, he's a lot better than we thought he was. And maybe he comes in and we go, he ain't really ready. And he's not a guy that we could rely on to start. Kind of third option. Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I would say so. Yeah, in the way things are supposed to be. I wouldn't say that he's like, if you tell me their plan is for him to be our starter next to Kobe Mainu, I will be concerned because I don't know if he can do the job. But we could always be surprised. Look, I didn't know much about Lemons, and I was concerned about him, and I was worried about how good he could be, and he had a very good impact. Maybe Andrey Santos could be like Lemons. Maybe he can do a job, and maybe he could be good enough. But in the grand scheme of things, he is not a marquee signing. He is not on that certain level that we have been asking for, and we still want that signing. So he doesn't fulfill that requirement, but he could be somebody like you're saying, Axe, in terms of he could be a third option, a second option. The way I sort of look at it right now, I would say Ederson is probably a second option. Andrey Santos would be the third option. We're missing our marquee signing. We're missing our number one main guy that's going to go straight into the first team, that's going to provide us that level of quality that we are basically saying the team definitely needs to have. So, what number is Santos? Do you mean positionally or just like at Chelsea? The number he wears at Chelsea is 17. If you're asking what number is he positionally, he appears to be a 6 and an 8, which is one of the reasons why United like him, because apparently he can play central midfield and defensive midfield. So he's kind of a hybrid of a 6 and an 8. In that regard, supposedly. Thoughts on losing transfers to Tottenham? I mean, it's disappointing. It's disappointing. All I will say on that is, whatever they're putting together, they better hope it fucking works. So, because it's all about optics. I mean, you could be angry that we lost 2 players supposedly that were linked to us, and they went to Tottenham. But I'll tell you right now, whoever we sign, if we have a good season and they perform well, that shit's not gonna matter. So I mean, a bit frustrated with the sort of running away from transfer fees, and running away from players, and watching other teams spend the money that we can definitely spend and maybe we should spend on certain players. For me, the money for Tonali, I would have spent that money. I think Fernandez became a little bit too expensive. I wasn't feeling too hot about that anymore, so I'm not that upset about it. I think that would have been potential grounds for a really bad deal, for us, in terms of we ended up paying 85 million for a guy that I considered was good value for 55 million. But really, it all depends what happens after now. Because if we end this transfer window and it's a bit flat and then we have a shit season, that's going to make it a lot worse. If they cook something up and it goes well for us, them signing Tonali and signing Mateus Fernandez is not going to mean anything after that. So, I'm glad Elliot Anderson isn't one of ours. I would rather sign Elliot from ET or even ET himself. I would still like a backup striker in case of injuries to Sesko, assuming we sell Xerxes. Well, yeah, I mean, listen, there's a lot of shit that still needs to happen. We're selling Xerxes. We're not selling Xerxes. We got a couple other positions. We're going to get a winger. We're going to get a left back. We're going to get a backup striker. You know, I hope our next signing is Prem proven player. Well, Santos at least has a little bit of Prem experience, so a little bit, not a whole lot, but I mean he has been in England and he has played some games for Chelsea, so Spurs have been quick on the draw while we dither. Yeah, but you know what? At the same time, like Spurs are in panic station as well. I mean, they almost got relegated, so they kind of have to be doing what they're doing. I don't. The speed doesn't bother me too much. It's more about the way we're going about things. Is, I think, the bigger concern. The bigger concern is the way we're going about things. We seem to be running away. One thing that isn't the best piece of news is that Mason Greenwood isn't going for as large as a fee as was once reported. I mean, there was talks that he could have went for 70 million, 80 million, and he's going for about 40 million euros, which is, I think, like 35 million pounds or something like that, or like 32, which means we get 40% of that. So we're not, once upon a time, it looked like we could get about 40 million. Fabrizio here is saying we're getting an excess of 6 million to 7 million euros from the sale of Mason Greenwood. So not really a lot of money. A lot less money than we thought we were going to get. Fabrizio's also said that Andrey Santos asked to leave Chelsea and wanted Manchester United, seen as a perfect chapter for his career. Andrey Santos asked to leave Chelsea and wanted Man United. 2 meetings with his agents took place in February and March. Manchester United to pay £48 million plus £2 million in add-ons with 10% sell-on clause. That's from Fabrizio. That is the latest. Andrey Santos will have his medical tomorrow in Carrington. Deal is done. United have been following him for years now. All right, well, fair play. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. Spurs will finish in the lower half of the table. We'll see. Axe says, we're taking a big gamble on those transfers. They have been using the World Cup as an attention shifter, but they need to do much more. At current stand, we won't be able to sustain 3 matches. I do agree in that they are sort of taking a big gamble on the way that they are going. They are taking a massive gamble on it. And I don't like when they do these massive gambles because their record isn't very good on it working out for them. And succeeding. So I am a bit worried. And I don't know. I do think that they are, I think the UK term is their chancers. They seem to be chancing a lot right now. With the way they're going about things. So I don't know how. I don't really know how this is going to play out for us. I do think that there is sort of listen, there's always risk involved no matter which sort of direction, option, plan you plan to, go through. But in risk assessment and even gambling, okay? Gambling, like people that gamble, like sports gambling, even people that do finances, like the Warren Buffetts, okay? Warren Buffett and people like him, they take calculated risks. It is a form of gambling to a certain degree. They'll probably argue against that and say it's something different, but it is a form of gambling. Even professional gamblers, when they sports bet, it's a the good ones do calculated risks. They don't just willy-nilly do it off of feeling. And with us, it's just like maybe you have 5 different options you can choose. One option might have 60% risk, the other one has 50, the other one has 40, the other one has 30. You would like to go with the one that has maybe 40% risk, 30% risk of shit going horribly wrong and sideways. And you wouldn't want to take the one with the higher percentage of chance of a risk of shit going horribly wrong and going really bad. It seems like they're sort of picking the one that has a higher potential of bad risk of shit going bad than minimizing the risk. Like, shit could still go bad over here, but it's just a little bit less likely, and they don't seem to be interested in that. They seem to be doing the path that there's a higher chance that shit's gonna go not good for us. And I don't really agree with that. I think it's foolish. I think it's very stupid, and I don't agree. I just don't agree with it. I don't agree with it. I don't agree why you would want to put yourself in a situation like that. Like, me personally, the way I live my life and the way I would operate the football club, I have a belief that that's a really bad idea to do that. Whether it's your personal life or it's your business that you're running, I think it's a really bad idea to put yourself in the position where there is a higher chance of risk that you're going to get really fucked. The bigger they are, the harder they fall. The bigger the risk, the more fucked we get if it goes terribly wrong. And I think that that's just a really shitty thing to do, especially when you're in charge of an institution and a football club like Manchester United. Why would you want to do such a thing? Why would you want to take that gamble? Why would you want to take that risk? Why would you want to risk it all and be like, listen, we're putting ourselves in a situation where if this goes really wrong, we're really fucked. But if it goes positive, we're gonna be fucking, geniuses. We're gonna be, and we'll be riding a high, and everybody will be kissing our ass. But it's like, why would you want to take that risk? I wouldn't want to take that risk. If we loan out any young players, I would loan them out to foreign clubs or promoted teams. We didn't loan them out to the championship. We are in slow motion with this window, like action replay. I hope we can avoid the bargain basement or deadline day signings. Well, I'm telling you now, we're not going to have all the signings in for preseason, and we won't have all the signings in. We'll probably play 2 to 3 matches of the season. We'll be there again. The season will start, and we'll still be trying to make 1 or 2 signings. It's unless in the next 3 weeks we just fucking sign like 2-3 players like very very fast, but I don't see it happening. I think as the little sand is ticking down, the tighter the window is getting, the more impossible it is for us to not be chasing a player, trying to sign them by the time the season starts. At least 1, maybe probably 2. Do you trust their ability to calculate that risk correctly? Because I don't. Yeah, I don't know if I do either, to be honest. I don't know if it's their ability to calculate the risk or they're just making the wrong decision. You know what I mean? My brain, the way I always view it, and maybe they're not even looking at it like this. I mean, who knows? I don't know them personally, so I don't know what they think and what they're actually doing. Like the conversations they're having. But my brain does this thing of like in life, in general, okay? Because I believe in free will. All right. In life, you at least always have 2 options. It's like a fork in the road. You could go left or you could go right. And you can sit there and you can assess both options, and you can make you can make one of those circle charts. I forgot what they're called, but you can make the circle charts, and you could put positives for this one, positive for that one, and then whatever in the middle. And then ultimately you make your decision. You could choose to go left or you could choose to go right. Sometimes you have a couple more options, and you could go down the middle. You could go, slightly to the right, slightly to the left, whatever. You can try and calculate as good as possible and think you made the correct decision, but that decision could still end up being wrong, and it could still be the wrong one, just solely because you made the wrong choice. It happens. Like you can sit there and spend a lot of time and work on all these details and put a lot of work and effort into trying to make a decision, and you go and you make that decision, and that decision ends up not working out the way that you thought it was going to work out. That's just a part of life. I don't know if I don't know if I don't trust their ability to calculate the risk, or I just don't trust their final decision instinct, in that they've laid out a couple options and they've chose to go to one because they think that one is the best one that's going to work for them. And then it just doesn't. It just doesn't. Spurs are also after Krupi, one of the players we had on our radar years ago. I don't fancy spending, say, 80 million on a specific player in case he turns out to be a flop. To me, it depends, though. It depends. Like again, like if it's somebody established like a Tushimeni, 80 million makes sense. If it's somebody like Penali, he's an established player. You know what you're getting. You've seen him in the Premier League week in, week out. It makes sense. But if you're gonna go and spend 80 million on some guy from like the Bundesliga that's never played in the Premier League, that's a bit unproven, maybe he's had like one good season, maybe like a Jan Diomande, for example, who was quoted at 100 and 120 million. I don't like that. That makes me nervous. That I don't really like those transfers. But there are some transfers that do make sense to spend 80 million or 90 million or 100 million or whatever. So the context of who the player is, what have they done so far in their career, what is their current ability, what is their current age, where have they been playing football, and what kind of matches and what kind of impact have they been having for their team. I think all of those are factors. So sometimes it makes sense to spend 80 million. I don't mind it. It depends on who the player is, and what they are. But other times it's like, we probably shouldn't be spending 80 million on that player because that player is highly unproven. He could become worth 80 million. Maybe he is an exceptionally top talent at a young age or whatever. And maybe we're getting ahead of the curve. But I don't really like those. Those tend to fail more than not, especially in our position. Can you name the top availability CDM at the moment? Venn diagram. I don't know what they call it. They called it something else here in America. Venn diagram. Venn diagram is probably one of them. I think there was another name for it. I forgot. If we get another midfielder, could we sell Mount or tolerate him for another season? Well, Mount's not going anywhere. So, we need to sign another midfielder. We should sign another midfielder. And, but Mount is not being sold. They already made that quite clear. Talk sport here. Quick update, okay? Because we're still getting news. So two things. Okay, number one, before I do the talk sport thing, Fabrizio Romano has come out. Basically with the here we go from Mason Greenwood. Camp has informed Fenerbahce they accepted the contract terms offered until June 2030. Fenerbahce have all agreed with Greenwood and again in active talks with Olympique Marseille on a fee of over 40 million euros after official bid sent earlier today. So that deal looks like it's going to go through. We'll get a little bit of money from him coming our way. And then TalkSport said Manchester United have made an initial approach for Alex Scott. Bournemouth insists he is not for sale, but rival clubs believe a deal is still possible this summer. A lot of interest in Alex Scott. A lot of competition. Let's see what happens with him. I'll tell you this. If he stays at Bournemouth, it's one thing. Okay? If he signs a new deal and stays at Bournemouth and he doesn't go to any other club, it is what it is. Deal with it. If he leaves Bournemouth and goes to anybody besides us, it's another L and another failure. And another missed out top target. So we'll see how that one goes. CDMs. I mean, I can't really tell you. I don't. It's kind of just a mess right now. It's kind of a mess. I mean, if you're talking about elite players, not many of them are available, or basically none. I mean, Tuchemani, there's a giant question mark if he's even actually available or not. Doesn't seem like he is available. It doesn't seem like there's a necessary willingness from him or Real Madrid or Jose Mourinho for him to leave. But he keeps being linked to Manchester United. Manchester United are still interested in him. He's probably one of the only ones. If you're talking about an established defensive mid at that sort of level. The other ones, I mean, don't seem too available at the current moment. Daniel Munya says Santos. Well, he's coming. We're doing a medical for him tomorrow, apparently. So, now that Onana has gone and it looks like Binder is going, can we get another keeper because Vitek may go? Well, we're probably going to have to, yeah. I mean, if Vitek goes, we're going to have to. I don't know what the plan is for another keeper, but I probably would say whoever the other keeper is, it's probably not going to be a big signing. It probably shouldn't be. It doesn't need to be. It's probably going to be somebody small, somebody not really that exciting. And we probably shouldn't be spending a lot of money on it. We might sign somebody a bit older as well. And maybe not young. Maybe somebody that's a bit older. With some experience. But yeah, and he'll just be a second string. Just be a second string. But listen, we've been live for 3 hours, so I do have to leave. I do gotta go. So thank you to everybody that smashed the like button. I think we got about 50 likes on today's show, so thank you. We're up to 3,410 subscribers. We started the show with 3,390, so shout out to all the new people subscribing. Welcome to the community. Again, if you have Discord and you want to join the Discord, get involved in the Discord. It's where we live when we're not live. Constantly chatting, good conversations in there, make new friends, discuss and stay up to date with all the news because we update in there constantly, and we're constantly having live conversations about things that are going on in the footballing world. Please announce the next stream and use the community chat. I will use the community chat, I promise. The next stream, I don't know when the next stream will be. In the next couple days, unless something major breaks. But my schedule is a bit all over the place. It's a bit uncertain, so I don't want to promise anything. I don't want to promise anything. There's the World Cup going on. Maybe we'll do it Sunday. Maybe we'll do Sunday because there's no matches on Sunday, so Sunday seems like a good day. If I'm not working during the time that we usually go live, Sunday looks like a good day. But of course, if I'm available and major breaking news happens, we will go live like today. I was planning to go live anyway, but I went live really early because it was announced that we signed Andrey Santos, so I went live for that. But I will say guaranteed we'll do Sunday because Sunday there's no matches, so Sunday's a good day. No World Cup. We'll discuss whatever happens. And then in between today and Sunday, if anything super major breaks, like major anything new, then we'll go live for that as well. We'll do sort of a surprise stream update. I've been banned from your Discord. You have been banned from Discord again. I wasn't there. I told you once upon a time, if you wanted access back, I would have a chat with the others. But you refused my offer in the past, so. Spurs or even City could afford Chouameni since they're getting things done quicker these days. Rashi needs to find another club soon, whether we win the World Cup or not. Well, I did see a story this morning that apparently there's a plan to reintegrate him back into the Manchester United team. So, many people not happy about that. Some people probably happy about that, but many people, I saw the reaction, not very happy about that. I don't know. I don't really like that aspect. Not a fan of it. He has been playing good, but I've never not put that against him. I never said that he's been playing like shit, but I kind of thought we moved on, so I don't really like to go back to things. Still hold that opinion. Don't think it would work very well, and I don't think it would be very good for him. I mean, listen, if he comes back into the team and he actually stays and he doesn't play well, it's going to be a very bad time for him because he's going to get a lot of hate and a lot of stick, and he's not going to feel a lot of love. So, and I don't think that's a good recipe for success. So we'll see. But it is just a rumor. I mean, nothing has been done yet, so we'll see. He's still with England at the World Cup, and after the World Cup is done, or England's time at the World Cup is done, then I'm sure that will get sorted. It's July 8th. There's still another basically 2 months left in the window. He could end up going somewhere else. Nothing is 100% confirmed, so we'll see. Just use community YouTube post. I will. But the problem is, like, sometimes people don't. I mean, I'll use it, but sometimes people don't see it. But I will. Great stream. Welcome back. Look forward to your next one. Have a nice day. Thank you, Simon. Appreciate you. And yeah, good stream. It's good to be back, and enjoyed it very much. Very, very, very much. Are you doing watch-alongs for the matches in the World Cup? No watch-alongs for the World Cup matches. I leave that up to the other people. I'm going to be quite honest. I don't really enjoy doing watch-alongs. They're not really my thing. I get people like them, but it's a lot for me. It's a lot for me, and it's a lot for me at this moment in time. So, maybe that's something that we'll get back to later on in the future down the road. But yeah, it's just a bit too much for me. So, and I don't really enjoy doing them too much. It's a bit difficult. For the United one specifically, I mean, listen, if we were to do a World Cup one, it is what it is. But for United specifically, it's a bit too much to do a watch along for United and then end the watch along and then do a match recap. I'd rather just do the match recap. I enjoy the match recaps so much, and I feel like doing the watch along kind of takes a bit away from the match recap as well. Um, so I'm not going to be doing those, but yeah, maybe at a different time. Maybe I set up a sort of a secondary channel that we could do, more general football stuff. I don't. It doesn't really make sense to do watch alongs on a United channel. That doesn't have to do with United. So I kind of feel like if I were to do those things, I'd have to make another YouTube channel where those things live. Yeah, I don't really have time for that right now. I'm crazy busy with work, and then also, I'll be leaving again and going on vacation again in July 22nd. So we're gonna have to deal with that as well. So, and summer. Rashi is part of our past. Time to focus on the future. I don't want Rashi back. Neither do I. But we'll see how that goes. But other than that, listen, guys, take care, be good, stay safe. If anything, I'll see you guys Sunday for sure at 8:30 p.m. UK time, at the time we usually go live. If anything crazy happens or major transpires, if I'm available, I will go live in between that time. But definitely, if you're around Sunday, we will be live Sunday. So other than that, take care. Thank you for all the love and support. Good to see you guys. Good to hear from you. Good to speak with you. Enjoy the rest of the World Cup matches in between that time. And if you want, and you're not in the Discord, we'll be in the Discord talking about the matches with each other like we've been doing. So other than that, take care, be good, stay safe, and we'll catch you on the next one.